We'll see who counts the food.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Thursday. I love how Warlord comes in here and asks when the Hulk Hogan tribute show is. Warlord, have you checked the schedule? Do you know we do classic wrestling Saturday nights at 6:05 Eastern. So should we do a Hulk Hogan show, wouldn't it stand to reason that would be when we would do a Hulk Hogan show? When we do the wrestling show on Saturday? So this one's a tough one for me. Not only do I hate Hulk Hogan the person, I've always hated Hulk Hogan the wrestler. I grew up in the South. Hulk Hogan came from WWF. That was the Northeast. That was New York City. I grew up in the South. Ric Flair was the god of wrestling to kids where I'm from. However, as you guys probably know, I love and revere the wrestling industry. And there is no denying the impact that Terry Bollea, better known by his wrestling name Hulk Hogan, or maybe Huck Hogan. If you watched Fox News earlier, you might have heard him referred to as Huck Hogan. There's no denying the impact that Hulk Hogan had on the wrestling business. Basically ushered in the modern era. And Holiday and I talked about it. I'm like, well, we could do like the worst of Hulk Hogan. There's plenty of just cringeworthy moments. But I feel like that might be me disrespecting the wrestling business, and I should do the best of Hulk Hogan. I don't know. I haven't decided. Something Hulk Hogan related will be happening on Saturday. Whether I do worst of Hulk Hogan, best of Hulk Hogan, who knows? Quesadilla brings up South Park. South Park last night, pretty fucking newsworthy. If you have not seen it, if you do not have access to it, stick around. After the Troll Patrol, we're going to watch it exclusively on Twitch. Sorry, YouTube people. Don't want Paramount on my ass. The White House has responded. If you didn't get to watch it, it's not just, if it had just been a normal South Park treating Trump the way they would normally treat him, I think it would have flown under the radar. Oh, it's just South Park being South Park. This is not a normal South Park. This is scorched earth. This is them doing their best to get Trump to sue them, I believe. They want Trump to sue them. We'll get into that. We'll get into the news it made. We'll get into the Hulk Hogan tributes. We'll do all that shit. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into the news. Because we got a lot of shit to cover. It's been a wild day. Yeah, they just got paid $1.5 billion and then turned around and now that's kicking authority in the balls. Jeopardized the...
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Maybe last night I would have thought they had jeopardized the merger. The merger apparently gone through. That's news we're going to cover here shortly. But before we get to that, Trump went to the Federal Reserve earlier today, met with Jerome Powell, who he has been making overtures about firing. He's touring the facility where they're doing the remodel. We talked about, I'm sorry, British person, this guy, which old guy are you talking about? There's two of them on here. This is Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman, who Trump has been wanting to fire. This is a man with a very small dick, but a very large love for us. And
well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time. We get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible, and it's wonderful. And we're doing pretty well with the European Union, likewise, and we have some others. They're all really big, and our country's going to make a lot of money. We would be helped if interest rates would come down, but we're going to see how the board rules on that soon. I'd love to see them come down a lot, but we have a country that's thriving. We had a dead country 1 year ago. Today we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and we'll get this one finished.
I wasn't going to play this clip, but since we got a hot country right now. We got a hot country. Here is Jessica Tarlov. I think this was earlier today on Fox's The Five. Throwing out the facts.
Trade front with the Japan deal. The headline I was paying attention to was that the United Auto Workers and the Big Three opposed the Japan trade deal. And I went through and I collected some recent headlines just to give a tasting of what the golden age actually means on the ground. General Motors' profit shrank 35% last quarter. President Trump's tariffs are costing Jeep maker Stellantis hundreds of millions of dollars. The cost of beef is at its highest level since the 1980s. And from today, independents drive Trump's approval to 37%, a second-term low. So the only president
to be lower than Trump is Trump in his first term.
to beat him is himself from the first term. Border security, sure, he still has a positive approval rating on that, but not on immigration as a whole, because lo and behold, people don't want grandmas and people who've been here for decades rounded up. They don't want people sent to CCOT. He's lost 40 points with Gen Zs, so there goes that narrative that suddenly young people are conservatives. Independence approval down to 27%. But the cherry on top, I think, is that 70% say that Trump hasn't done enough to lower prices. And that is the reason that he won this election. It was an election about the economy where people had said, inflation is too high. I go to the grocery store and I see what's going on. And I was obviously on this panel throughout the election. And you guys said to me repeatedly, stop telling people what their real life looks like. Stop telling people what their real life looks like applies right now. They are saying that Donald Trump is too focused on his hard hat mission or his crypto, whatever, and get the prices down.
Well, Turlov laid out the facts. Why would Trump want to possibly investigate his predecessor? Relitigate 2016 now. Where did Tulsi's irrefutable evidence on Russiagate come from? And god damn, somebody needs a titty slap.
America's News now. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dee Gatton, and we begin with the Trump administration on the defensive as they continue to assert the narrative that the Obama...
There's a reason why they started with that side shot over there. God.
America's News now. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dee Gatton, and we begin with the Trump administration on the defensive as they continue to assert the narrative that the Obama administration manufactured evidence of Russian interference in the 2016 election. Let's go straight to Ryan Smith at the live desk for a deep dive. Ryan?
More revelations announced today surrounding declassified documents that allege the U.S. intelligence community at that time did not have any direct information that proved Russia meddled in the election, tipping the scales specifically for Donald Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, director of national intelligence, saying they have, quote, irrefutable evidence that proves President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of and pushed an intelligence...
If I hadn't brought it up, would you guys have noticed?
...community assessment that they knew...
Yeah, they're pretty noticeable.
They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though...
This contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the election to help Trump win, which, you know, has been proven to be a fact that actually happened. That's not a contrived narrative. That happened. Gotta keep pulling out the... I wouldn't think I'd still have to pull out the fucking Mueller report. Russia's two principal interference operations in 2016, U.S. presidential election, the social media campaign, the hacking and dumping operations violated U.S. criminal law. Numerous links between the individuals with ties to Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. The evidence was not sufficient to support criminal charges. The investigation established several individuals affiliated with the Trump campaign lied to the office.
It were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard declassified a highly sensitive congressional report written during Trump's first term. It states the ICA did not cite any report where Putin directly indicated helping Trump win was the objective. That judgment rested, it states, on a questionable interpretation of this one unclear fragment of a sentence. The ICA omitted reliable evidence that...
Or just, you know, common sense.
Key advisors saw significant downsides to a Trump presidency. The ICA selectively excluded information from reliable intelligence sources that senior Russian officials had serious reservations about how a potential Trump administration could be bad for Moscow. Now tonight, the DOJ announcing it has now formed a strike force to investigate Gabbard's evidence that the Obama White House manufactured that intel.
In order to understand why the Trump administration is determined to get answers on this issue from this report, we need to take a step back and take a look at where we were.
Well, the reason why Trump brought it up is very clear to anybody with a fucking functioning brain is to distract from his Epstein controversy that continues to percolate. It's the majority of the show tonight.
Nearly 10 years ago. At its heart, President Trump boomed onto the political scene during his first run for president in June of 2015. We now know that the FBI began investigating the Trump campaign for links to Russia back in July of 2016, while Barack Obama was president. The FBI was tracking campaign officials and inner circle people based on what we now know was the widely discredited and unverified dossier report. That
National Desk not being completely honest with you. It wasn't just the Steele dossier, nor has the Steele dossier been completely discredited. Several of the claims in it were false, but they had assessments and, low confidence. Most of the dossier was factual.
Was known as the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Several members of Trump's inner circle and future administration were caught up in it and faced legal prosecution. In September of 2016, word of unverified Russian attempts to interfere in our elections became public, meaning that information was likely leaked to the public. 1 month later, in October, that means 1 month before the U.S. election, those claims were publicly confirmed by intelligence agencies. And despite all of that, on November 8th, 2016, President Trump was elected to the White House by the American people. And that's where this week's reports from DNI Tulsi Gabbard comes into focus. Now, between November and up until 2 weeks before President Trump's first inauguration in January of 2017, top Obama officials continued to meet behind closed doors and dig into potential Russian interference. On January 6, 2017, the DNI put out its report on Russia interference 2 weeks before Trump was sworn into office. This is known as an ICA. Now, the intelligence community was led by folks like CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James
Republican,
FBI Director James Comey, and Susan Rice and AG Loretta Lynch, all Obama-era officials. This week,
Whoa, Obama-era officials.
No, all of those intelligence
covering up they were Republicans
testified between the years of 2017 to 2018 that they had no, quote, empirical evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. So the question the Trump administration is asking is, why? As Ryan mentioned, today's declassified House intelligence report from 2020 states that back in January of 2017, the intelligence community did not have any direct information that Russian President Vladimir Putin wanted to help elect Donald Trump during the 2016 presidential election, publishing potentially biased or implausible intelligence.
Potentially biased.
Otherwise.
You guys are going to hate me for playing this. But let's do it. There are 3 people the entire chat is going to hate. Absolutely hate. Let's go to Chris Cuomo on News Nation. Had on 2 guests to debate the Russiagate, Epstein-gate controversy. Democratic strategist James Carville. Former Fox News host Bill O'Reilly.
Discuss what should be going on with the Justice Department. I'm sure it's going to be taken seriously by a lot of people, especially on the right. And how we get past all this noise. 2 better minds, okay? Journalist, best-selling author, Bill O'Reilly.
He's not a fucking journalist.
Strategist, legend, James Carville. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in tonight to help me. Bill, to me, this is such a layup. I don't care about Epstein the way a lot of other people do. I don't think there's a client, we talk all the time. But just put out whatever you can. Just show that you're just putting it.
Cuomo, you on the list?
What am I missing about this?
Well, I'm going to scold you for conflating the 2 stories about
God, O'Reilly looks horrible.
Epstein. They're 2 separate stories. And
separate.
I don't think they're linked in any way. All right?
They're just linked in terms of timing and convenience. Substantively, they're not connected.
They're not connected for the American people. Okay, they're two different situations. So the Tulsi Gabbard drop of classified information that's now declassified. The headline in there is that John Brennan, former director of the CIA, is in trouble, and I believe he will be indicted. And the
for what?
Telling part of this is that, and this is I'm quoting from the report from the Select Committee on Intelligence, the House Select Committee, is that Brennan knowingly, all right, published 3 reports containing information that was, quote, unclear, of uncertain origin, potentially biased or implausible. If that's true, and we need to give Mr. Brennan due process, he's going to be charged.
Well, you also need to prove.
So they'll present that evidence in front. They'll present the evidence in front of a grand jury.
I still don't see what the crime is.
It's not quite as clear. So Brennan has the big exposure here. All right. Now Comey, it's how much he knew about what Brennan was doing.
Bill O'Reilly was around when they were lying us into the Iraq war. Nobody went to jail for making up bullshit about WMDs. They literally did manufacture the evidence. What you're saying here is that maybe Clapper presented, or Brennan presented, evidence that they were uncertain of the origin? Come the fuck on, dude.
And I can't answer that question. That, again, has to be investigated. So that's the headline in the Tulsi Gabbard situation. The headline in Epstein is from the latest Wall Street Journal article published tomorrow. It's on the internet now, which says that the Justice Department has some kind of folder. The journal tried to describe it as a leather-bound folder. Within the folder are, quote, hundreds of names associated with Epstein. Hundreds, okay? None of whom are under investigation at this time. No one.
Right.
Therefore, they can't let that out. Because if they did, the federal government would be sued for billions of dollars. Because if you attach any...
No. Their name appears in files. There's a part of court proceedings. There's no, you can't sue for libel. You were legitimately associated with Epstein. Sorry.
Name to Jeffrey Epstein at this point in time, the person attached is going to get hurt, even if they're not under investigation, and nothing.
Do not give a shit.
Or whatever, and that goes for President Trump.
Shouldn't have been hanging out with pedophiles.
I just finished watching CNN, and
I want to know who were all these rich motherfuckers that were hanging out with pedophiles. Please let me know. They're not a good judge of character, and there is nothing that releasing that information could come back on the government.
Sorry to take Carville's time, and I'm interested to hear what he has to say. I just watched CNN, and it's a race to the bottom over there. They're using tabloid people now, disgusting.
Jesus Christ, race to the bottom with 2 disgraced news anchors and stupid-ass James Carville on the screen. Race to the bottom at CNN. Really? Not News Nation? Fuck.
Awful human beings who come in and they're trying to tell their audience that Trump was somehow involved in molestation. Trying to weave over there. It's horrible. Based on nothing.
Buddy, Trump is a pedophile, and it's not based on nothing. It's based on the fact that he has been sued for being a pedophile by one of the victims of Epstein. It's based upon the fact that he's in the Epstein contact book like 12 fucking times, that he flew on the plane 8 times, that he appointed the prosecutor that got Epstein off, that he was best friends with Epstein for years. He's literally on camera, on tape, on audio, talking about how he loves young girls and how him and Epstein are so fucking close. Bill O'Reilly, shut the fuck up. You're probably a pedophile too. Sue me, Bill O'Reilly. Fuck you.
Okay? So that's what's going on. I'm pleased to be here on News Nation to clarify the record.
Look, until I see otherwise, I don't have any reason to believe that it's anything other than the obvious. Of course, Trump knew Epstein. They were friends for a long time. They had a falling out. They both said that to me.
No. The falling out was reported by Jeffrey Epstein's attorney in the 2007 case, and everybody runs with it like it's a fact. No, that's just something he said in his book. Epstein himself disputes that and says he still had contact with Trump up until he was in the White House. So fuck off, Cuomo.
Multiple people that they had a falling out over how Epstein conducted himself, not this criminality.
Nope.
But look, if they can put something else out, fine. But the innuendo is just getting us nowhere. Jimmy, this is my problem with this.
That's right.
I differ with Bill. Look, Tulsi Gabbard hasn't unearthed any new information. This came from a Republican-only drafted report. It's an opinion, the Russiagate stuff.
No,
and they're
it
going to give
wasn't.
it to the
Schiff.
It was a Republican-only
Schiff
report.
was the. No. This came from the House Intel Committee, where Schiff was the chairman. It didn't come from Republicans.
Right, but
No,
the committee
this was a
report that she's talking
bipartisan
about was
report.
drafted by Republicans. But the report that came out wound up confirming what the IC said. All I'm saying is, Bill, it doesn't take us anywhere. It's just a distraction. I'm not saying substantively it's connected to Epstein.
I wouldn't want to be John
but it's
Brennan
done, James.
tonight.
Well, look, I wouldn't want to be him either.
I don't think Brennan is doing anything.
We lose, but James, we know what's going on here. Is there an opportunity in this for Democrats to do more than go on the flames?
First of all, let me put an end to all this nonsense. The Senate Intelligence Committee in 2016, headed by Marco Rubio, bipartisan, unanimously said Russia tried to interfere on behalf of Trump. What are we arguing about?
I don't think it was 2016. I think it was later. It was 2018.
This is idiotic. Let's just call it what it is. And please fact check me. Please do that. Okay? And then let's put this aside. This is all nonsense. All right? Complete, utter nonsense that's been spelled 100 times. Of course Russia tried to interfere. Of course it tried to interfere on behalf of Trump. We know that. What are we arguing about? Who won the Civil War?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things that just we know. All right, we're
distracting.
We're distracting from Epstein.
From Epstein. That's what we're doing. And it's still a little effective. It's not going to take the bullseye off Epstein and those files.
Well, I don't know what happened with Epstein. I'm like anybody else. I'm curious. I'm suspicious. Okay. It seems, it seems fishy to me. But I know that Russia tried to interfere in the 2016 election. I know that. I've been told that by a bipartisan committee in the United States Senate that was headed up by the current Secretary of State. I don't know what Tulsi Gabbard, what she's even talking about. But we have enough that we can discuss, like how they're cutting the budget to combat human trafficking and underage sex trafficking. That's something that I do know. And that's something that's currently going on. And I know that that's a problem. I know that we already know what happened with Russia interference.
Right, I'm with you.
I'm going to fact check. Can I fact check? Jim?
Yes.
Can I fact check? He wants to be fact checked. Look, I want to give James Carville anything that he wants, and he asked to be fact checked. So here I am. Okay. The Senate report, Marco Rubio, was 2 years before the House Intel report. Number one, the Senate report said that Putin tried to meddle in the election, which is true. The House report upped it to discombobulating the Russian collusion whereby Putin's minions met with Donald Trump Jr., had people inside the Trump campaign, a coordinated effort. That's a lot different than meddling. Two different reports, 2 years apart, way different conclusions. But
I know, but Bill, hold on, guys. Yeah, but hold on. In 2018 March, the report that came out from the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence was drafted solely by the Republican majority. That is the fact. Now, I'm not discounting their findings. I'm just saying that, Bill, this is a headline searching for a story. That's all. And I get the distraction. I just don't know why the president doesn't lean into better things for him.
Can I ask one question? Did the Mueller report come out after the Republican, not bipartisan,
came out before
Republican 2018 report? Give me the timeline. Did Mueller come out after that? Because we know the bipartisan committee in 2016 said that Russia tried to intervene on Trump's behalf. We know the Mueller report said that. They said it didn't rise to the level of indicting him for collusion. We already know that. We're arguing whether the earth is round.
Mueller was before the House committee that was the Republican majority report.
All right. So Mueller and the bipartisan committee says, and all we have.
It started before, and Mueller was 2017. The House report was 2018. Mueller concluded in 2019.
Okay, Mueller concluded. All right. So he concluded the report. The earth is round.
Yes,
people.
I want you guys.
Russia tried to intervene on Trump's behalf.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. I'm just not going to argue.
We got to take a break. I have to run the show now. We got to take a break, but I want you to, the report that Tulsi, oh, no break, it does, all right. The report that Tulsi Gabbard declassified.
Bill O'Reilly's just hearing people in his head.
And I could be wrong here. Was on September 18th, 2020. That's when it was released. There are a lot of reports. But I think that we're getting lost in the weeds here, okay? Because there's just too much coming at the audience. One report.
They're trying to shotgun fallacy.
Tried to meddle. True. The other report says the director of the CIA knowingly used phony stuff, okay, to try to get.
Yeah, that's
what was this phony stuff?
And other things. Okay. But Schiff signed off on it.
I don't know that he signed off on it. It was written by the Republican majority. I doubt he signed off on it.
He had to.
But it wasn't released, so he didn't have to.
He had to sign off on it.
But look, either way, Bill, I'm just saying this. You
If
say too
Tulsi
much is
put out
coming
the
at the
wrong
audience.
version, you got a big scoop.
No.
Okay.
Other than MAGA, ultra MAGA, who cares about any of this? If you live in Indiana, if you live in Louisiana, you're worried about the tariffs. You're worried a little bit about what's happening with the ICE policy. You're worried about national security and whether jihadists are coming for us again. Nobody's worried about any of
That's
this.
why
BS.
Trump.
Jihadists?
I don't know why, but he's continuing
That's why Trump is so angry. That's why Trump is so angry. You and Trump are simpatico. He's going, are you kidding me? I just made a great deal with Japan. The stock.
No, he didn't.
500 points to the highest level.
So
and
talk
all
about
CNN
that.
and MSNBC, the Wall Street Journal, and everybody else can do is try to drag me into Epstein. So you are agreeing that Trump has an excellent point here, correct?
Pull a Carville and talk about the economy. That's what affects everybody in the majority in this country. Talk about the economy.
Every time Trump is...
It's the economy, stupid.
All he's getting is Epstein. But there is one very important story here that everybody is overlooking. And that is, did the Wall Street Journal publish a phony card allegedly sent by Donald Trump?
We're getting nowhere here, and I'm going to go ahead and duck out on his question and answer it for you. And the answer is no. He didn't. Hold on. Let me jump ahead here. I had it further down. But since Bill O'Reilly wants to bring it up, let's talk about it. That book is in the hands of the Epstein estate. It is real. It is in the hands of the Epstein estate.
Congressman Coney, you have been the driving force in the House of Representatives to get the Epstein files released to the House. Does it sound like it's time to maybe move for a subpoena to get that book?
Yes, Lawrence. First of all, that was a bombshell revelation by Bradley Edwards. I appreciate your having me on to hear that. It's important what he said, that we have to center the victims in this. And it's important to hear what he believes the victims want, which is the full, complete release of the Epstein files. We're hearing directly that's what the victims want. Second, it is a revelation to me that he said that that birthday book is with private lawyers in the Epstein estate. As you know and reported earlier, Summer Lee showed courageous leadership today on the Oversight Committee. We subpoenaed the Epstein files, but that's a hard thing to do, to get the Department of Justice to cooperate in releasing those files. What's not hard to do is to subpoena private attorneys in a private estate and to get compliance. So I'm actually going to invite Bradley Edwards to meet with the House Oversight Committee, and I think we can easily move forward on this subpoena of that birthday book, and which could really advance this case.
And this really does.
So there you have it. The book is real. It exists, and we know who has it, is in possession of it. So it's probably only a short amount of time until we see it. Now we're gonna go to the Senate. We talked about the 2016 election earlier. You wanna relitigate the 2020 election? Because that's what Rand Paul and Blumenthal got into.
Senator Blumenthal.
Max Blumenthal.
Welcome to all of our nominees. Thank you for serving our country. Mr. Planky, I have a couple of fairly straightforward
Richard Blumenthal.
yes or no questions. Was the 2020 election
My bad.
and stolen?
Senator, thank you for your question.
It's pretty much a yes or no question.
Thank you for your question, Senator. I have not reviewed any of the cybersecurity of the 2020 election.
Don't have an opinion on whether the 2020 election was rigged and stolen?
Senator, my opinion on the election as an American private citizen is probably not really relevant, but the Electoral College did confirm President Joe Biden swore him into office.
None of them will say it.
Were there, quote, widespread election malfeasance and serious vulnerabilities with the voting machines, end quote, that changed the election outcome?
Yes, Senator, as you know, elections are state-run entities, and many different secretaries of state across the 50 states of the United States pursue different methods to secure their own elections.
Mr. Planky, my time is limited, so I'm just going to say to you, there ought to be no hesitation in your answer to these questions. The agency that you've been nominated to lead, CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, along with the entire national security and intelligence community, agreed that the election was secure. You're undermining the confidence of the nation in the election apparatus at a time when that credibility is as important as ever, when you're about to lead an agency that has responsibility for that security. State and elections officers across the country ran audits and examinations, and on a bipartisan basis, affirmed that President Trump lost the election. He won the next election. The answer to my questions is no. The 2020 election was not rigged and stolen. There were no widespread election malfeasance and serious vulnerabilities, even though President Trump said there were. Now, I know it is a contentious topic, but your role in that...
He's a sycophant. He's a sycophant. He can't say the truth because he has to stay on Trump's good side.
Agency is to be above politics. If you can't tell us with conviction and conscience that those elections were secure, I have very serious doubts about your ability to lead this agency. Let me ask you, if President Trump comes to you and he demands that CISA falsely claim that the 2026 or 2028 elections were rigged, what will you do?
Senator, as a cybersecurity professional, these are state-run elections. I have not reviewed the cybersecurity posture of all 50 states.
With all due
That's like
respect,
a doctor, Senator. That's like a doctor who's diagnosing somebody over the television because they saw him on the news.
No, it's a doctor who has a patient come to him and is responsible for doing the diagnosis. It may be a second opinion, but it actually is the determinative opinion because you are the head of the federal agency that oversees the security of our election system for the entire nation. And you're telling me, in effect, you're just going to dodge, you're going to jump ship, you're going to evade that responsibility. I think that answer is completely unsatisfactory.
Senator, I did not say that I would dodge or abate any of my responsibility. I would remind you, Senator, that CISA is a consent-based cybersecurity agency, and cybersecurity, CISA is postured to respond and support every state across the United States, and we will gladly and do our due diligence to support those states across the United States.
You seem not to understand the responsibility of CISA. People turn to this agency for unbiased, objective, science, evidence-based, expert information. And you're in effect saying that if President Trump comes to you and he says, I want you to say this election was rigged, you're going to yield to him. Thank you.
You know, when
he will.
About elections and whether or not they're rigged or not, I don't think one party or another is particularly immune to this. There's still people who believe that the Daley machine and the mafia conspired in Cook County in 1960. There's some evidence of it. You know, it's a long-time American tradition, you know, for both parties to question the other party in elections. I will say that in 2016, when Donald Trump won the first time, you know, Hillary Clinton, to this day, says that he was an illegitimate president. Jimmy Carter said
he is an illegitimate president because he didn't win the popular vote. That's what they mean.
He was illegitimate. From the very beginning, they tried to delegitimize Trump. So I would say it's no different. And in fact, if we're going to criticize,
he wasn't legitimate.
Questioning the 2020 election, we should be equally critical of Hillary Clinton for questioning the 2016 election.
I am. What they did, what you are even accusing them of at face value of Clinton and Obama of doing is far, 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 even if I take your assessment at face value, which I don't think is true, far less egregious than what Trump did in 2020, you fucking partisan hack.
Quotes are legion. I mean, dozens and dozens of quotes, dozens and dozens of interviews. Hillary Clinton to this day is unrepentant in this, but it's worse than that. That's just sort of an opinion. What they ended up doing is using the apparatus of government to try to delegitimize Trump. They used the apparatus of government to spread something that was a falsehood, that the Russians got the election for Donald Trump. He wasn't deserving. The people didn't vote for him. The Russians did this.
He lost by 3 million votes.
But it turns out that all of the intelligence reports saying the Russians, of course they try to meddle. They meddle every time in all of our elections. But it was judged to be insignificant and not consequential until it wasn't.
No, it was judged that they didn't interfere with the vote tabulation. Sir, you're conflating two different things.
All of a sudden, someone at the top of the intelligence community decided, oh, well, yeah, we think Donald Trump's illegitimate. We're going to spread this throughout government. And there basically was a conspiracy using government and using the power of the intel agencies. So for people who complain, Donald Trump complained about the 2020 election, my goodness. The Obama administration planted misinformation throughout government.
They did not.
They planted it.
They did not.
Places. At one point, John Brennan is asked the question by the analyst that he has selected, this information, sir, this dossier, this Steele dossier, is opposition research, and it is unchecked. It is unverified. And Brennan's flippant response was, yeah, but sure sounds like it could be true. Sure rings true. This is the head of the CIA.
Yeah, that is the document. I haven't been able to find the full thing yet. I've only seen Tulsi's clipping of the document, which, as I pointed out, because this is hundreds of documents she released, so like fucking finding the original that she's citing. When she's citing that, she is leaving out what happened before, after, and there's also a chunk of his quote that isn't in there. So I don't know exactly what he said. I just know what Tulsi said he said, and I don't trust her.
Saying this, They got together and really cooked up something to delegitimize. So I really am not that interested in hearing, oh, Donald Trump says it, will you admit the election wasn't rigged? There's a great book on this. It's called Rigged by Molly Hemingway. And in it, she goes through in great detail the Democrats' disregard. You know, does anybody remember the Democrats voted against seating electors? You know, the whole January 6th stuff, they say, oh, this is unprecedented. Republicans aren't seating the electors. Now, look, I voted to seat the electors. I thought the argument wasn't a valid argument. But the thing is,
she's just a Fox News contributor. She's just a Federalist Society Fox News contributor. That's all she's ever been. She has no credentials whatsoever. Molly Hemingway. Go read Molly Hemingway's book. Go fuck yourself.
Raskin to impeach the president. He voted not to seat the electors in 2016 because he thought the election was rigged. So for goodness sakes, let's put this to rest. Both parties have accused each other of malfeasance. Both parties have accused the elections of being rigged. And let's just try to move forward.
And not because they thought the election was rigged.
With all due respect, nothing you've said absolves this witness of a responsibility to answer these basic questions about the core responsibility of the agency he's been nominated to lead.
The CISA has nothing to do with the elections. The CISA has nothing to do with the state-run elections. Senator Moody.
Well, we will
Thank you,
agree
Mr.
to
Chairman.
disagree, I guess.
Just wow. Once again, all of this, I believe, is just a distraction from the fact that Trump is a pedophile. Tier 2, Lenny, Socialist Aunt, T-minus. Who else snuck in here on me? Carla, Malord, Femvox. Welcome in, friends. Textillion, Flash, anonymously. I don't think I gave anybody a heads up. Hey, Soup, what's going on, my friend? Sexy man in my chat. Julie. Josephus, Dougie, Libertad. Welcome in, friends. Quesadilla. If you did not get a chance to see South Park last night, we're going to rewatch it after the stream. If you are wanting some Hulk Hogan content, that'll come at you on Saturday. Don't know exactly what form that's going to take. I hate Hulk Hogan as a person and as a wrestler. Who's hugely impactful in the wrestling business, and I love wrestling, so some form of Hulk Hogan tribute will happen this Saturday on Classic Wrestling. Now, and I guess on Monday we will do Chuck Mangione for a live music Monday. Also passing away, that news breaking today. So, programming coming at you. I am 100% convinced that this is all a distraction from the fact that Trump is a pedophile. And I think that the brosphere, the manosphere, podcaster, influence sphere, that absolutely helped get Trump elected, I think they know he's a pedophile now. They're turning on him. I love it.
Trump is like, hey, the base thinks vaccines are fucked up. RFK, get in there.
January
Research
6th,
the vaccine.
they want him out.
They want him out. We're putting him out. And this, he is rebuking the base. Like, almost like spitting in their face. Like, they are asking for it. He campaigned on it. He puts Bongino and Cash in there. Which
now, technically, he did not campaign on it. Once again, that's a little back to the Fox News interview that Fox edited. It completely changed the meaning of the interview. It looked like Trump answered that he would release the Epstein files when actually he didn't say that at all. But Fox edited it to make it sound like he said it. Nobody's suing Fox over that interview. I wonder if I could do that. Can I sue Fox over that interview?
Trump is like, hey, the base.
I don't have standing.
RFK, get in there.
January
Research
6th,
the vaccine.
they want him out.
They want him out. We're putting him out. And this, he is rebuking the base. Like, almost like spitting in their face. Like, they're asking for it. He campaigned on it. He puts Bongino and Cash in there, which might be the stupidest thing in the history of the world. Like, why would you put the two guys that have nonstop pounded the pavement talking about how we're going to expose this Epstein thing, and the second they get in there, like, you better shut the fuck up.
Yeah, to shut him up.
Go on Rogan, lie. Like, it is a...
And they did. And what does that say about them? Man, what does that say about their credibility? That they were willing to just go on Joe Rogan and lie and cover for the pedophile. Come the fuck on, my man.
Peculiar thing. It worked in that I think it moved any of the smoke off of Trump, because at least for me, I was like, there's no way that he's involved if he's putting Bongino and Cash in, who have campaigned on exposing it. Like, why would you hire those guys or appoint those guys, right? So I'm like, he can't be. But the fact that he will not touch this, and then this last week, him doing the bullshit distractions,
bro,
dropping the MLK file. Like, who asked for the MLK file?
Yeah.
Who asked for MLK?
Not even MLK's family. They said drop the Epstein files. That was the most hilarious thing.
You know what's funny is I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist, and I was initially like, the Epstein thing for me was just the last straw in terms of you not getting things done. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure there's some smoke, they'll release it. But the more they're doing to hide it, the more I'm like, oh, they're hiding something crazy. Yeah. I didn't necessarily, I was like, there's probably something.
The second he started talking about Obama, I was like, oh, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Also, like, why are you talking about Obama and treason? You got a guy who has sex with teenagers that you are protecting.
Also, some of the lies are other pedophiles.
Yeah.
Trump is protecting other pedophiles.
And himself, he's a pedophile. And I've known it for over 10 years. I've been screaming it at the top of my lungs. But yet you guys get paid millions of dollars to sit there and jack each other off while you're wrong as fuck. I've been screaming it for 10 years in relative obscurity. But you know why? Because you don't get ahead unless you grease the Donald's gonads. You're all sycophants. Silent, welcome in. Also, spoiler alert for South Park later. You'll see Trump's gonads. Or at least his little pecker. So, the Justice Department went and met with Ghislaine Maxwell today. Textilian, stick around. The Justice Department went and met with Ghislaine Maxwell today. And Representative Tim Burchett, who loves to stick his foot in his mouth, said something kind of interesting earlier.
The government has said in its filings that they don't trust her. She's a liar.
No, she is a liar, and she's a dirtbag. And,
so then why subpoena her if you can't trust her?
Well, because the one thing we got holding over her head is if we find out she lies, she goes back to her original sentence. And that's looking at lifetime. And if she's looking at maybe parlaying this into reducing her sentence, then we could have some leverage there.
The government has said in its filings that they don't trust her.
Leverage to reduce her sentence? That seems really weird. That seems like witness tampering.
She's a liar.
No, she is a liar, and she's a dirtbag. And,
so then why subpoena her if you can't trust her?
Well, because the one thing we got holding over her head is if we find out she lies, she goes back to her original sentence. And that's looking at lifetime. And if she's looking at maybe parlaying this into reducing her sentence, then we could have some leverage there.
The government has said...
Sounds like witness tampering to me. That meeting happened. Let's hear from Ghislaine's lawyer.
Appellate lawyer for Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend and accomplice, spoke out about her meeting with the DOJ today. Let's take a listen.
We want to thank the Deputy Attorney General for being so professional with all of us and for meeting with us. He took a full day and asked a lot of questions, and Ms. Maxwell answered every single question. She never stopped, she never invoked a privilege, she never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability. And that's all the comment we're going to have today about the meeting. We don't want to comment about the substance of the meeting for obvious reasons.
All right, CBS White House reporter Aaron Navarro joining us live now. You know, this visit coming amid a lot of criticism over the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. How is the White House responding to all of this today?
Yeah, you could kind of see this move by the number 2 at the Department of Justice as a way to kind of alleviate some of the pressure that they've gotten, not only from Democrats, but from some of the, quote, more MAGA parts of Trump's base, who have been critical of this administration since the DOJ put out a memo that essentially said that they found that Jeffrey Epstein did not have some sort of blackmail list and that he had committed suicide. From what we saw today was Todd Blanche, who announced earlier this week that he'd be meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell. We also know that Maxwell had been subpoenaed by the House for a deposition, waiting to see when that will take place. All this coming as the Trump administration, the president himself, is looking to kind of get past this story. One kind of wrinkle in all of that.
He ain't getting past it.
From the Wall Street Journal.
And I think Congress going on recess during this kind of compounds it. Because it's just going to fester the entire time through the recess.
Yesterday, saying that Trump was told by his Department of Justice in May that his name had appeared in the Epstein files. Important to note that
also he lied and said no one told him that.
Signal any full-out wrongdoing, and we also know that Epstein and Trump were kind of running in the same New York City social circles in the 1990s. But again, is another thing that
and 2000s and 2010s
the White House is looking to get past.
And Aaron, on top of the president's visit to the Federal Reserve, we understand he'll be signing some executive orders today. What do we know about the content of those orders?
We already covered the Federal Reserve. That meeting with Powell was hilarious. Let's go to Speaker Mike Johnson, who shut down the government as opposed to deal with not shut down the government. As we're coming up on the debt limit fight here in a couple months, shutting down the government, not the right words for me to use. He recessed Congress so that they couldn't force a vote on releasing the Epstein files.
Our big stories from the top of the hour. The Justice Department is expected to speak with Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell today. This comes as a House committee voted to subpoena Maxwell as well as the Justice Department for the Epstein files. Earlier this week, House Speaker Mike Johnson ended the summer session, in part to avoid voting on releasing the Epstein documents. Johnson discussed the case exclusively with Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett for The Takeout. Here's a little bit of that.
Shut up, Major Garrett.
And to the point when the Trump Justice Department said there were more than 1,000 victims, for people who knew this case very, very well, did a lot of investigative work on it, that number surprised them. High number.
Yeah.
Meaning that to their minds, investigative reporters and others, there have to be accomplices, uncharged accomplices, and that aspect of justice is still missing.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's of great concern to us. I mean, we want full transparency. We want everybody who is involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was,
I don't believe you.
Justice as quickly as possible. We want the full weight of the law on their heads.
But when the Justice Department said in that same two-page memo, there's no reason to pursue further prosecutions, many said, how can those two things be properly aligned?
These are good questions. I don't know. I've never seen the Epstein evidence. It wasn't in my lane. But I have the same concern and question that a lot of people do. And look, I think the president
This is not a
as well.
hoax, in other words.
Oh, it's not a hoax. Of course not.
Major Garrett is joining me now to talk more about it. So, Major, what was his response to criticism from congressional Republicans in this, quote, watershed moment?
So the Speaker told me that House Republicans are fully in alignment on this, and the Trump White House is fully in alignment with House Republicans. That's his public-facing way to try to minimize obvious discord within the ranks of House Republicans. How do we know there was discord, Vlad? Well, because the House Rules Committee, which is the means by which any piece of legislation gets to the floor, if it doesn't go through rules, it doesn't go to the floor, shut down this week. Why? Because House Republicans who dominate that committee and operate at the behest of House Republican leaders could not agree on what to do about the Epstein matter. There were pending Democratic initiatives, resolutions, amendments, whatever. They didn't know how to vote on them. They couldn't align themselves with Speaker Johnson and his leadership team. So the Speaker said, we will just shut down the committee for the remainder of this week, not bring any new legislation to the floor, and send everyone home. That feels to some Republicans as the House grinding to a halt because it doesn't know what to do about the substance or the politics of the Epstein matter. The Speaker, as he frequently does, is putting a brave face on all of this discord, saying it will be resolved in the sweet by and by, and he's trying to buy himself 5 weeks of everyone outside of Washington to try to make that happen.
What was the Speaker's response, Major, to how the Trump administration is trying to reverse course on releasing all of those Epstein files?
Well, this is where the rhetoric and the reality diverge. You heard the Speaker just there say, this is evil, it has to be prosecuted, and we need all transparency. That's not where the Trump Justice Department is right now. It is not talking about aggressive new prosecutions. Yes, it's trying to find out something from Ghislaine Maxwell, but no one really knows how credible she would or wouldn't be. We don't even know if those conversations are on the line of, are you aiming or angling for a pardon or a reduction in sentence? That's not about where many people believe this case could be prosecuted in terms of accomplices and those who were in the larger Epstein world. And the Trump Justice Department is not saying very much about that at all. And the Speaker, when he talked to me, said, this is evil. We need full-blown prosecutions of any who were involved. And there's a gap there between that rhetoric and the current Justice Department reality.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So according to Johnson, Major, what is the future of the GOP as far as their unity come the 2026 midterms after the fallout from all this?
So quite clearly, the Speaker believes what he should and everyone in the media should be talking about is this very productive legislative first 6 months for the House Republicans working in very close coordination with the Trump White House. And there is much for them to look at and point with pride. They got the big, beautiful bill through. They passed crypto legislation. They got a rescissions package through. Almost everything the Trump White House has asked for legislatively, House Republicans have delivered and delivered on time or ahead of schedule. That is a group of legislative accomplishments that will be part and parcel of the way this House Republican majority will be judged in the next midterm elections. And of course, Speaker Johnson would much prefer to talk about that. And he said to me he's very bullish about the political prospects of House Republicans in those midterm elections. But this Epstein matter, he acknowledges, is real, and his backbench or rank and file House Republicans have told me and other reporters it will persist in August and it will come back in a vengeance in September if there's not more activity taken and more transparency demonstrated by the Trump Justice Department. So just when House Republicans want to talk about legislation, they're probably going to have to be talking about, at least in part, Jeffrey Epstein and what has or hasn't happened.
Yeah, you mentioned September because, Major, as you know, I mean, even the news media abhors a vacuum. So without any, if it's a slow news cycle in the summer, this stays sort of front and center, despite the Trump administration trying to distract the media with, outdated claims of President Obama spying on the campaign or, revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship.
Exactly. And there is a line of argumentation that the Speaker shared with me and he shared with many other reporters. Well, all the Republicans and Democrats suddenly interested about Epstein were silent during the Biden years, and you can litigate that who was or wasn't interested. The big difference is the Biden administration never said that there was something scandalous about Jeffrey Epstein and it was all full of elites, and that information is being withheld from the public to protect people from being prosecuted or held to some form of public accountability. Those who are now occupying positions of power in the Trump Justice Department did say those things and promised not only transparency, but prosecutorial follow-up if it was so required. And now they're backing away from that. So those promises were believed by those rank and file members of the House Republican Conference, MAGA supporters nationwide, and they don't understand, and they want a better explanation about why those promises, which were made full-throatedly by Pam Bondi, by Kash Patel, by Don Bongino, three very senior people in the Trump Justice Department.
Don Bongino!
Why aren't you following through? And as long as that gap persists, those questions will as well.
Yeah.
Love it. Don Bongino. Fucking Dershowitz. I can't believe he has the nerve to still come out here and speak in public.
and then I'll call on Durbin.
Good call. Mr. Chairman, are we under some sort of time limit by which we have to act today?
If we want to get these bills out, the answer is yes. Whenever we lose a quorum because there's a vote going on or the 2-hour rule is kicked in.
How can we go ahead and vote while then allowing everybody else to have their say?
I'll stay around as long as people want to speak.
Could we go ahead and vote?
Then
those who would like to make comments.
This is on an Epstein.
Would that be okay?
Amendment.
Pretty please, with sugar on top?
We could, but I'm not going to have a upheaval like we had.
You won't have a fight with Booker. He's okay with that.
Go ahead. Senator Biden asked for the floor.
Senator Biden?
Can we do that, Mr. Chairman?
Jesus!
Question, actually.
I'm going to ask, can we proceed to vote on these amendments and then proceed to vote on the bill?
I have a question on the Cornyn second degree.
But I have a question first.
I'm sorry, I thought you gave up the floor. Go ahead.
No, sir. Can we go ahead and vote on the bills? And then
Louisiana anonymously.
Whoever else wants to stay to let everybody finish.
Are you talking about Grassley?
Remarks in light of the fact that we have a time limit by which we have to act, and we're in the middle of a vote.
I thought I answered that by saying that I wanted to make sure that we had a consensus that we ought to do that.
There's a vote on the floor. Does someone vote on this?
Can we vote?
I don't hear an objection, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I didn't hear a motion.
I make that motion.
Okay.
That we vote? Excuse me, would you restate your motion?
Sure. I move that we go ahead and vote on the matters before us in light of the fact that we're under a time limit.
Clerk will call the roll.
Thank you.
No, Mr. Chairman, I think I'd just like to be recognized. I know Senator Durbin and Senator Whitehouse, who outrank me on this committee, have asked to be recognized as well to speak.
I don't want to pick a fight with Mr. Booker either, but I made a motion. Is my motion in order, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, your motion is.
Could we have a vote, Mr. Chairman? Pretty please.
Can I have a vote? Yes. Call the roll.
But we clarify, without a discussion on the second degree amendment?
Don't call the roll yet.
Without discussion or debate?
On the
motion?
Go ahead, sir.
I don't want to jump over the ranking member of the committee.
I'll defer.
Okay, so I'm reading that Cornyn second degree, and he said a lot of really important things about immigration that are worthy to be discussed. And I'm happy to vote on an immigration bill. I disagree with the death penalty. I will vote my conscience on this. But
the holdup is an Epstein amendment.
The first two lines of your second degree, they have nothing to do about immigration. They have nothing to do with the death penalty. I've never seen this before. His first two line is not to bring up this important issue that should be discussed, debated. Your first two lines are to strike my amendment in its entirety. So what we have right here is hidden behind real issues on immigration is really just trying to not vote on the important points that we brought up about transparency and accountability on the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is not an amendment to my amendment. This is an attempt to strike what I have a whole list of prominent Republicans, elected leaders, who want the same thing I want, which is just to have transparency on this matter.
Can we vote
I've
on
heard
my
some of the
second degree?
comments. If I can finish, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I have heard public statements by my Senate colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I've heard comments from Republicans on the House side and Democrats on the House side that we want transparency and accountability on a matter of public safety. Senator Cornyn said that Jeffrey Epstein's dead yet, but his victims are not. There are women who have horrific stories of vile violence that was committed against them. We have Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, who said that there is evidence, truckloads of it, as to these crimes, potential co-conspirators, potential others involved. How can we not?
I am not high enough for this shit.
What happened? Why are we trying to simply turn away from the highest law enforcement officers in the land, from our FBI director to our attorney general, who spoke towards crimes committed and others involved in those crimes? Why are we considering an amendment that is hiding behind real immigration issues, but real intent is to strike a simple request for transparency, for accountability, that Republican voices all across the spectrum have been demanding from this president and this attorney general? So if Senator Cornyn is going to offer an amendment, I'm going to offer a third degree that simply strikes his first two lines. I'll vote on your immigration stuff that you so strongly stated there was the importance of this, but you hid the fact that you put here the real intention of your amendment. It has nothing to do with immigration. It says it right here in the first two lines. The real effort was just to not have accountability and transparency. What are you afraid of?
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Yeah, you may respond.
I trust the Senate-confirmed Attorney General of the United States to make the proper legal analysis to determine what of the Jeffrey Epstein files can be released. He was confirmed by the United States Senate as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States. I trust her to make the right legal determination. But
I don't.
My colleague from New Jersey, you claim you care about the victims. Do you care about Tammy Nobles? Do you care about Marie Vega, the angel moms who lost their loved ones, their children, to the acts of an illegal alien who never should have been here in the first place? Do you care about them?
Can I respond to the senator's question? Sir, I've known you for 14 years. You and I both care about victims of crime.
I don't think so.
To suggest
I don't think either of you care.
Is stunning to me.
Senator,
if I may finish, sir, I allowed you to finish. I asked you a question. And I'm trying to answer.
I didn't make an accusation.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
answer the question.
I should have allowed a time to respond to the senator's question. I did not interrupt him, and now he's interrupting me.
Please.
It is another violation of the decorum of this place.
Go ahead, Senator Bolton.
Senator Cornyn, both you and I have spent our lives. I know your record. I know your history. I know.
Well, let's face it, Lenny. It's not the victims' names they care about. It's the powerful men that are named in that. We went over this multiple times. People are like, "Oh, well, their names. They could have lawsuits for libel because their names were exposed." Fuck that. Fuck off. You associated with a pedophile? We all need to know
what you've done. I would never ever question whether you care about the victims of a heinous crime.
Mr. Chairman, please help me.
You ask me if I care? Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, I'm not finished yet.
Well, thank you for answering the question.
Well, I'm going to answer the question in full. You are not sincere.
Nope.
Let me explain.
Sir, he has put an amendment in.
Would you allow
trying to use the horrific nature.
Would you allow me as sponsor of this bill to
Sir, I will not pick a fight with Chuck Grassley in the same way that Chuck Grassley won't pick a fight with me.
The reason for his amendment is because your amendment says that this bill that we're working on will not go into effect until we get all these records. And this bill is an opioid bill to help solve some of the drug problems in this country. And we ought to get it passed because it's a bipartisan bill and it's very badly needed.
Sir, may I respond?
Yes.
So I said at the top of my comments, my frustrations, we've said it to your staff, we've said it to others, that when funds like this have been made available so far in the first 6 months, they're clawing back funds from my state. And that's unfair, and I would like to deal with those. We could deal with them. And
there's like another 10 minutes of this.
I am sticking to an amendment that is not controversial.
And I didn't play you the first 10 minutes of this.
I know it's not controversial, sir, because I've seen polling literally on Republican channels that the overwhelming majority of Republicans and Democrats want transparency and accountability. That the overwhelming majority of Americans has seen that one of these two things is lies. Is there truckloads full of evidence as to victims of crime not having?
That's also, I couldn't get the actual New York Times article to show you guys, but just to be clear, they reported earlier that they have 100,000 pages of Epstein files. The Justice Department has 100,000 pages of Epstein files.
Justice? Have we been lied to? Who are we trying to protect? What are they trying to hide? This is not controversial. We have Republican leaders in Congress calling for the same thing that this amendment calls for. And so for a second degree to be offered to mine, where you're using horrific crimes to hide the real intention of this, if this amendment is so important, just strike the first two lines that strikes my entire amendment. The intention of this is clear. It's to not give the American people accountability, transparency, and truth. That's what we as the Judiciary Committee should be seeking. So I offer a third degree amendment, preserving every noble thing that the senator from Texas said he wanted.
You can't offer a third degree amendment.
I can't offer a third degree. Then I ask that we strike the true intention of his amendment, the first two lines.
At this stage, you can't offer a third degree amendment. If there's some way for you to do that, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, may I respond?
Yes.
Briefly.
Then we'll have a roll call vote, because I know you folks want to get votes on your amendment. I asked you to withdraw them, and you aren't withdrawing them. So
well, I just want to ask a question, Mr. Chairman. In your opinion, would the addition of these amendments to the underlying bipartisan bill jeopardize our ability to pass this underlying bill, anti-opioid bill, out of committee and across the Senate floor and get it enacted into law? Would these amendments jeopardize that?
I see them jeopardized in ways even beyond what you said.
So,
because if we pass the legislation with this stuff on, it wouldn't go into effect anyway. Who knows how far down the road? When the president signs the bill, I want it to be effective.
That's what I thought, and I appreciate your answering the question. I think the debate that Senator Booker and I have is not something that's going to be resolved today. And so it will continue. So I think regardless of how we act on the underlying bill.
The Senate is going on recess at the end of the week. I think they may still be there on Friday. Well, tomorrow, it is an AARP meeting.
That debate will continue, and neither he nor I are.
Cornyn looks young next to Grassley.
Ability to continue to debate this topic. But I'm willing to withdraw my amendment if Senator Booker's willing to withdraw his amendment in the interest of passing this bipartisan anti-opioid bill out of the committee and through the Senate and seeing it.
Well, the Dems, for those of you who don't know how this works, the Dems are trying to attach the amendment to a bill that will pass to try to force a vote on it.
Enacted into law, and hopefully saving some lives in the process.
Senator Booker.
Mr. Grassley, sir, I have asked for someone to address my New Jersey concerns for months now. There was an incident in which you got a special carve out for your state when they froze funds, but I have got no justice for New Jersey. So if you want to postpone this and address my New Jersey concerns about the resources we are not getting, and I know you would do that with me in good faith, I would be happy in our next meeting. But right now, I am sticking with my amendment.
It'd be faster to address your concerns for New Jersey if you'd asked me to help you with the administration to get something done so you can get your money.
Sir, I've got no. I'm not from you.
Then if you do it through the legislative process, tell me that. Let me make a conversation with the White House on your issue.
Let me make a conversation.
I'm going to stick with my amendment until I get satisfaction on that.
The clerk will call the roll.
So what are we voting on? I have no idea. On my amendment?
No, we're voting.
It's the second degree.
Call the roll on the Cornyn amendment.
Mr. Grant.
He's 90-something years old. I'm surprised he's still there. I think he's running for re-election.
Mr. Cornyn.
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
Aye.
Mr. Cruz.
Aye.
Mr. Hawley. Mr. Tillis. Mr. Kennedy.
Aye by proxy.
Mrs. Blackburn.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Schmidt.
91.
Aye by proxy.
Mrs. Moody. Mr. Durbin.
No on concealing the Epstein files.
Mr. Whitehouse.
No.
Ms. Klobuchar.
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
No by proxy.
Mr. Blumenthal.
I vote no because I vote no on concealing the Epstein.
Okay, I was remembering him announcing his last re-election, which was in 2022. I remember him announcing his campaign in 2021. He will be up again in 2028. He has not announced whether he would run again or not, and my God, surely he won't.
Ms. Hirono.
No by proxy.
Okay.
Mr. Booker.
I vote no on this effort to conceal the Epstein files.
Mr. Padilla.
Mr.
Wells.
No, I'd like the Epstein files.
Mr. Schmidt.
No on concealing the Epstein files.
Chairman Grassley.
Aye.
On this vote, the ayes are 12, the nays are 10.
Okay, the Cornyn.
They voted to conceal the Epstein files.
Now we will go to the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. So his second degree, which had nothing to do with immigration, which was to conceal the Epstein file, Senator Cornyn's effort to conceal the Epstein files right here on 1 and 2 has now violated my amendment. There is no amendment anymore. It passed.
That's right. Yeah,
And Cornyn is saying, yes, I passed. I did something to stop the American public from seeing the Epstein files. It renders my amendment moot. That was the intention of Senator Cornyn's amendment that he just passed, which was to conceal
Chairman,
the...
I have to respond. Nothing we are voting on today is going to change any of the debate about the Epstein files.
You voted to keep them secret.
Is
that debate will continue.
That is not
And
true.
If you don't acknowledge that, I just have to, I really question whether your amendment is actually in good faith or not, because nothing's going to change that. But, Mr. Chairman, my second degree amendment passed, which included striking the Senator Booker's amendment. I believe we've, committee's spoken.
May I respond? He directly referenced me. May I respond? Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
So Mr. Cornyn claims that nothing about this would end debate. We're not seeking to end debate. We're seeking to pass legislation out of this committee that would force the disclosure and the transparency and the truth being made public. We had a chance today that Senator Cornyn blocked to make the truth known to the American public. We had the power today, the possibility today, to force out the truth regarding the Epstein files and the lies and the obfuscation that is happening by this administration. What Senator Cornyn did today was to block the truth about what's happening with the Department of Justice and the Epstein file. It is that on its plain truth, no matter how much he wants to try to dodge that truth.
Mr. Chairman, I have to respond.
Well, quickly, because
I
Graham
will
wants to
respond
speak.
quickly.
Take your time.
What Senator Booker is trying to do is to kill this underlying bipartisan bill.
It won't kill the bipartisan bill if you pass the amendment that allows us to see the Epstein files. You're wanting to kill the bill and kill the amendment because you don't want to show the Epstein files.
That will hopefully save hundreds, maybe thousands of lives because of the opioid crisis. It's already taken tens of thousands of lives in this country over recent years because of the...
Yeah, several of my friends, my fucking father.
I'm simply trying to preserve this bipartisan legislation Again,
I don't think you give a shit, and I don't want you to use the memory of several of my friends of my father. I didn't like my dad, but don't worry. to block the release of the Epstein files. Fuck off! How you gonna do that right here in front of Rihanna and her fish? Embarrassing.
Having over the Epstein files, I doubt will be resolved today based on any amendments either he or I offer. So that's the reason for my amendment, because I want to save lives from the opioid crisis. And I believe his amendment is a distraction from that and actually will jeopardize seeing this bipartisan legislation enacted into law.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
No, I'm calling on Grant.
I thought you were back and forth, sir. I didn't know that.
I'll be real quick. So if Senator Booker's problem is with the bill itself, which it seems to be, I understand that. Hopefully we can work out a way to get money to your state you think does justice for New Jersey. I got that. That makes perfect sense. But the Epstein amendment, present it some other way, it's not going away. What we're trying to do with this bill is really good. And there's no end to this.
And that's why they keep attaching it to bills that you actually want to pass, so you can't ignore it.
A way of doing business here. If this is a headline about Cornyn blocks transparency of Epstein, then that would be sad because he's responding to your amendment.
But you guys do that shit all the time.
Quite frankly, fail. I want to help Senator Booker with your problem, but what you're doing, I don't think is helpful to the bill. I don't think it's helpful to the committee. I don't think it's helpful to your problem.
Senator Graham, there's not been a time in my career where you said you want to help me that you didn't. So I'm going to take you up on that, and I'm going to withdraw my amendment.
You're a good man, and I will try to deliver with Senator Grassley the best I can.
Mr. Chairman, I would also ask leave to withdraw my amendment and vote on the underlying bill.
Those in favor of 1098,
well,
say aye. Those opposed say no. The 1098.
We had a moment of kumbaya.
The last bill that
between
is the Child Act.
Old Lady Graham and Cory Booker. That was earlier today in the Senate Judiciary Committee. We're going to go to the full floor of the Senate. Also, a long clip. I'm not going to play you the whole thing this time as well. We're going to watch about 10 minutes of it. Senator Ruben Gallego from Arizona, bringing forth a bill demanding the DOJ release their 100,000 documents related to the Epstein investigation.
Mr. President, we all want transparency and for credible information on the Epstein case to be made public so that the American people...
Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma.
The Trump administration has already said they are committed to releasing
Republican
all files. Last week, President Trump directed AG Bondi to produce any and all permanent grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. The resolution, my colleague from Arizona's resolution, tells the FBI and the DOJ how to do their job. My resolution would echo the seriousness of the directive from the President and the DOJ to the courts and calls the immediately to unseal all materials. When combined with our House colleague, combined with what our House colleagues have done, this resolution moves forward, providing justice to the victims and transparency to the American people. Mr. President, as I said before, we want transparency, but the courts.
It's weird that now he's probably going to mention that the judge denied the release of the grand jury transcripts yesterday. But now Mark Wayne Mullen is actually going to eventually block Gallego's bill demanding the release.
Control the grand jury. The judges that overseen the courts control the grand jury. We, in this body, can have resolutions back and forth and suggest that it be done, but truthfully, the judges have to do it. AG Bondi and the President has both already called upon the judges to release this information. What my resolution is simply saying is we agree with the President, we agree with AG Bondi on the judges and calling upon the judges to release it. So as if in legislation session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the consideration of S-Res 335, which is at the desk. Further, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and that the motion to reconsider be considered and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object, Mr. President.
Senator from Arizona is recognized.
Mr. President, let me explain to the American people what just happened. My colleague from Oklahoma refused to join me in calling on the DOJ to release all the Epstein files. Instead, he offered his own resolution calling on the courts to unseal the records. When asked if we did both, which I am asking to do both, I want to call for transparency, and of course we could ask the Justice Department and the courts. He's also going to object. Republicans are demanding the courts be transparent, but aren't willing to ask the same thing of the Trump DOJ. This is the height of hypocrisy. They want to tell the courts to be transparent, but
you can't hypocrisy shame a Republican.
This is for the second time in 1 week. The Senate had the chance to demand transparency and stand up for the truth. Instead, my colleagues chose to protect, again, the powerful elites. If there's truly nothing to hide in those files, then what are they so afraid of? What are they hiding? Why the panic? Why the backpedaling? And why all the objections? Congress should work for the people, not the powerful elites, and definitely not for one man or one administration. Today's resolution should have made that clear. Therefore, I ask the consent that the consent request be modified such that my resolution, SR 325, be
Again, this is Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego
the Senate proceed
from
to
Arizona.
consideration of SR 335 and SR 325, that the resolutions be agreed to, that the preamble be agreed to, and the motions to be reconsidered be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate, all en bloc.
Is there objection to the modification?
I reserve the right to object.
Senator from Oklahoma is recognized.
It's interesting that my colleague wants to continue talking about the elites, but the elites was the ones that actually covered up the last 4 years of the Biden administration. I mean, think about what happened during the Biden administration. They covered up, 1, for his cognitive behavior. 2, they covered up the Hunter Biden laptop. 3,
oh my God!
It's
all we ever hear about from these people. They are like a fucking broken wet record constantly.
Come on, man.
Hunter Biden's big ass schlong. Joe Biden was in cognitive decline. Shit, motherfucker. Trump's a lunatic.
Cover up the Russian gate. And 4, they covered up the fact that an auto bin signed every one of his papers except one.
I don't think that's true at all.
Where was the cover-up? Where'd the leaks come from? Well, it's because of the pressure from the Biden administration that actually did put it on the leak, on all the social media outlets. It's interesting, when I started talking to social media's founders after President Trump was elected, they said, we feel like we can actually do our job again. Why? Because the DOJ wasn't threatening to sue them. The Biden administration wasn't threatening to blackmail them. But yet my colleague from Arizona is saying that we're covering up for the elites. Let's be honest. We know these files have been out there forever. I don't remember a single time the Biden administration called on these things to be released. And I definitely don't remember my colleague from Arizona calling on these.
He wasn't in the Senate.
As I've said before, this is nothing.
He's in the House, though.
Theater. Everybody sees it. The American people sees it. And what else can President Trump and AG Bondi do but call on the judges to release the information? We're simply...
The DOJ has 100,000 files.
Going back and forth here saying the same thing. The difference between my resolution and my colleagues from Arizona's resolution is mine isn't blurring the boundaries between separation of power. Mine is simply calling upon the judges to release the information. What my colleague's resolution does is truly trying to tell the FBI and the DOJ how they can proceed in doing their job and how they can actually present the information. basically saying that we want all that information to go through Congress. Well, I'm sure Congress has never once played politics with any information. I'm sure that this investigation will be handled much like other investigations into this administration that the Democrats
say January 6th.
The last, I don't know, 8 years. I'm sure this would be handled just like any other thing that they've tried to go after, like the baseless impeachments. Or
they weren't baseless.
Baseless special counsels.
They were baseless.
Or the unbelievable amount of charges they've tried to file against the president. I'm sure
they were baseless.
The exact same way. What we're simply wanting to do here is give them cover. So if my colleague from Arizona actually wants transparency, then he would drop his objection to my resolution and just simply have mine go through, and we can move forward with the transparency that maybe both of us actually want. So therefore, I object to combining them. I would ask my colleague once again to accept my resolution.
The objection is heard to the modification.
I don't want to compromise with you. Just take mine the way it is.
Original request.
Mr. President, reserving the right to object. Let's just understand why we're here.
New Mexico is recognized.
Let's just understand why we're here. The political theater was started more than 8 years ago. The political theater started just 5 months ago when the president said, after appointing his attorney general, that they're going to release the Epstein files. When the attorney general said, I have those files right here, I'm going to show them to you. And then all of a sudden, the shenanigans started. All of a sudden, the files are gone. They're not there. They're made up by somebody else. That's where this political theater is coming from. And the American public wants to know why. Why, after 8 years, this president promising that I will release the files, why, after 8 years, getting into the office and then appointing his attorney general and then directing his attorney general to go look for those Epstein files, and that attorney general saying they're going to release Epstein files, and then poof, all of a sudden there's an issue. All of a sudden there's backpedaling. This is what stinks for the American public. This is what smells like an elite cover-up. That's what we're trying to get to. And if my good colleague from Oklahoma agreed to me, then we would do both, because that is what is demanded by the American public. Because the first promise was made by this president that they were going to release the files. That is where it's political started. So with that, Mr. Chair, I object to the good senator from Oklahoma's motion, and I yield back.
The objection is heard. Senator from Oklahoma is recognized.
In closing, I would just simply say, well, maybe my colleague from Arizona and I can work together if he wants to, and we can drop some of the stuff in his resolution. Maybe we can come up with a conclusion with my resolution, where I have concerns about yours blurring the lines between the separation of powers and at the same time wanting transparency. If we can both agree we want transparency, then we've worked together on several issues in the past. Let's sit down and try working this one out. With that, I yield back.
So he killed Gallegos. Bill, this is his explanation for it. He defended himself to reporters.
That. You know, every time the senator said they've come back out and they don't come back out. Not saying you would. I'm never saying you've never done that.
I've never said I would come
that's
back.
right. No, I appreciate you coming back.
Yeah.
Your resolution on Epstein. So you're just calling for the courts to release this information. Is that right? You do. But what about the Justice Department?
Well, here's the issue that we have is everything that the Justice Department has, and I don't care if it's with the FBI or if it's in Bondi's office, all has been heard by the courts. There isn't anything they had that the grand jury hasn't looked at. So you're going to have a judge release all that information, or they can't release what they have. All their findings was heard in either New York or Florida at different times. And let's be honest, regardless if it's mine or if it's his resolution, it's just a resolution.
It's not binding.
Yeah, it's not binding because this clear separation of powers here between legislative and judicial. The court still has to move forward. So President Trump, even though he's president of the United States, his executive branch, they cannot force the judges to release this. You saw the judge in Florida came out and said no. Well, before we can get our hands on it, the judges have to agree to it. And I think by Pam Bondi calling on them and the president calling on them, and then us here in Congress calling on them to release the information. Hopefully the judges will see it different, but until they do, that judge sitting over that case that oversaw the grand jury, as you guys know, the grand juries are pretty tight-lipped. Most of the time they don't release that information. That's all our resolution does, is say, hey, please release this stuff.
Would it be helpful if the Justice Department just released all of the information it has?
I don't think that, like I said, I don't think they can, because all the information they have had been heard by the court. They wouldn't have any information.
There's surely some investigative material that they haven't put out yet.
Why would they? I mean, seriously,
why would they put it out?
No, why would they have it if they hadn't released it all the way to the court? There was
the files that Trump's name is apparently in. I mean, that wouldn't you want to see that? Would Congress want to see that?
Well, we've already debated that. I mean, the Wall Street Journal report that came out on that was absolutely ridiculous by an unnamed source. And the file that they're saying that his name could possibly be on it, the president has made that very clear, not just this year, years ago. That was because he kicked him off his course and told him he can't be part of his club anymore. So
would you want to see that? Would you want to see that?
If we could. The problem that I'm having is,
I don't think that ever happened.
The information was heard by the grand jury, which I believe almost all this was heard by the grand jury, because they were the ones that were putting out subpoenas. Any information that the court has seen through the grand jury, they cannot release it, regardless if they have it or not, unless the judge releases it. And that's why this stuff isn't being released. You saw that even the one judge that they've already asked has said, no, I believe it's going to repeat itself. What else?
Do you think that there is concern?
Okay, apparently Maxwell was seen walking back to her cell with a box of materials that she received from the Justice Department.
This is video of Maxwell returning to prison just moments after meeting with Trump's Deputy Attorney General. And you can see her there. Actually, if you look closely, she's carrying a box of material. Now, Maxwell's attorney says she was forthcoming with every question that Trump's team threw at her today. This is video of Maxwell.
What did they give her? What? Oh, my bong's right here. Curiouser, Avalon, welcome in. Kensai. Sorry, that was a long segment there. We also have new breaking news. Are you ready for this one? Remember that 50th birthday book of Epstein's? We now have a letter from it from Ghislaine. You guys are going to have to help me decipher it because I can't fucking read it. Jeffrey, the idea behind the book was simply to gather no clue and old photographs to jog your memory about places, people, and different events. Some of the letters will definitely achieve their intended goal. Some, well, you will have to read something yourself to see for yourself. You'll have to read them to see for yourself. I know you will I'm not the youth. I was absolutely taught cursive in school. This is just bad handwriting. You will enjoy looking through the book, and I hope you will. Claire? So much poon? Derive so much poon. Pleasure. Look, Ducky, good job. Will You will derive as much pleasure looking through it as I did putting it together for you. Happy birthday, love, Ghislaine. I don't think this is anything that gives us new information, but I guess it's interesting. So, another letter from the Epstein birthday book. Sorry, I got a personal beef. I'm gonna do something here. So in the 5.5 years that I have been doing this show, I get copyright claims from like 60 Minutes or The Late Show or The Daily Show, stuff like that. I never get copyright claims from news stations because clearly what I'm doing falls under fair use. Well, that changed. And I got an email from a Jalen Jones, and we're going to call Jalen. They just emailed me 2 hours ago, so I'm assuming they're working the evening shift at WRAL. We're going to go talk to Jalen. And turn him down at first. So like when I'm talking to the switchboard, I don't have to tell them that they're on a show. But then when I have him on, I'm going to tell him that he's being broadcast and then turn his volume up. Good evening. Can I speak with Mr. Jalen Jones? Or does he work the earlier shift?
Till 3.
Oh, well, he emailed me like 2 hours ago, so that's why I was thinking I'd be able to get hold of him.
Yeah, he probably did it from home. Can I take a message for him, or so I?
No. I'll give him a call back tomorrow.
Okay, no worries.
All right, appreciate you. Should be like, yeah, JustinFREAKIN is calling. Apparently he works the 8 to 3. So I'll have to call back tomorrow. Am I high? Did I hit this yet? My gunk. I got like a bowl left over here. I'm saving it for. I haven't watched Sunny yet. I couldn't download Sunny. I had to watch. I couldn't download South Park last night either. They weren't up until today. I had to watch South Park live with commercials and shit. It was weird. We're gonna watch it again here, Curiouser, but like you'll probably head to bed. Or I'm going to watch it again. We're going to watch it here on stream for anybody who hasn't seen it, because it's pretty newsworthy. This story kind of sad, but also kind of funny. This is the kind of story that would totally be a Troll Patrol story. Do you remember Representative Mary Patola? The plane that crashed and killed Mary Patola's husband was overloaded with moose meat. They had too much moose meat on the plane. The plane crash that killed the husband of former U.S. Representative Mary Patola was overloaded with moose meat. Eugene Patola Jr. was flying solo almost 2 years ago in a Piper PA-18150 small aircraft that was loaded with 117 pounds, measuring 6% over its maximum takeoff weight. It was so heavy that even after consuming fuel en route, the airplane still would have been about 180 pounds over its maximum landing weight upon reaching the destination. Patola was transporting meat from St. Mary's for a group of 5 hunters after successfully hunting a moose. A moose? Apparently the animal's antlers were strapped to the outside of the plane. Plane crashed because of too much moose meat. Going back to Idaho, yesterday we did the story of Brian Kohberger. He was sentenced. You heard from several of his victims. We apparently have some new details that have emerged.
Brian Kohberger woke up in a state prison cell for the first time today following his life sentence. His breakfast, farina, pumpkin bread, margarine, and milk. His first stop is an evaluation unit, but he'll be
what is farina?
Transferred soon to the living hell of one of the toughest prisons in America.
The Idaho Maximum Security Institution is isolated in the desert, surrounded by a double perimeter fence topped with razor.
Oh, it's like a porridge.
It's only 13 miles outside of downtown Boise, but for Kohberger, it will feel like a world away.
Just released documents reveal that Kohberger compulsively washed his hands dozens of times a day and FaceTimed his mom for hours each day. News Nation's Brian Enton.
They said that he was very smart, but that he was strange, that he would stay up all night, that he only slept a couple of hours a day. And there was even one report where he seemed to get angry at another inmate because he thought that inmate had insulted his mother.
His mother and sister were in court yesterday.
He was making a lot of eye contact with her, his mom wiping away tears and mouthing the words, "I love you."
Police files just released in the aftermath of the sentencing reveal harrowing new details of Kohberger's frenzied rampage. Xander Kernodle was stabbed 50 times. Kaylee Consalvis and her friend Maddie Mogan were each stabbed over 20 times. Unlike the others, Kaylee was also beaten with severe facial injuries.
Wow.
Just days earlier, she complained she was being stalked by a male watching her when she took her dog Murphy for a walk out back.
I bet that was Kohberger.
At them, and then that Brian Kohberger stare that we've seen in court could have been the same person.
Kaylee was spooked out. She even checked the local registry of sex offenders. And this is Murphy today in video just released by the family. 9 days before the murders, the roommates came home to find the door open and the screws on the hinges loosened. Could it have been Kohberger?
I bet he was stalking them apparently he thought he was going to get away with it. And he thought he committed the perfect crime, but he was real amateur. Now for some good news. I'll switch to this one because it's been updated. Oh no, maybe this doesn't have the details. Now for some good news. We have another good cop.
Family's worst nightmare.
Knowing that this violence continues to reign.
Happened in Lorain, Ohio.
Men and women who swore an oath to protect people they don't even know.
Need to thank the men and women who serve us every single day, try to keep us safe. They run towards danger. They do it every single day.
Everybody who hears this need to pray.
They are the danger.
Law enforcement, because they remain under attack, not only in Lorain, not only in Northeast Ohio, but all across our state.
Pray for the Lorain Police Department.
I guess they put together this for the front of the The news story? This was Lorain, Ohio.
Welcome into 3 News at 5 alongside Lena Lai. I'm Jay Crawford.
We do want to start off with our breaking news coverage. Tonight, we are learning more about the 3 Lorain police officers shot. They are 51-year-old officers.
Now, I don't think they know this at the time that they're doing this story. Philip Wagner has now passed from his injuries. So, dead, good cop.
Sir Peter Gale, 47-year-old Officer Brent Payne, and 35-year-old Officer Philip Wagner. Payne and Wagner remain in the hospital in serious condition and the Lorain County community is rallying in support of these officers.
Tonight, we have team coverage. Our Lindsey Buckingham live at Cleveland Metro Hospital.
Lindsey Buckingham,
about the victims,
looking way different than the last time I saw you, my dude.
Information on the investigation. Annabelle?
Well, guys, I want to start by letting you know that just in the last few minutes, we watched a Lorain police officer lift the cones and let us into the area. This is the very first time we're getting a look at this dead end of Riverbend Drive where this horrible shooting unfolded. Now, today we are getting
It was a cop attack at the cul-de-sac.
The scene was that officers responded to, why they needed bomb technicians and SWAT teams. We're also learning a lot more about that suspect, 28-year-old Michael Parker. Elyria police say Parker is the man who opened fire on
that's what I would figure he looked like.
First shooting 2 officers who were parked for a lunch break before shooting a 3rd officer multiple times who rushed in to help. We do also now know that Parker was killed by officers' gunfire. And when investigators secured the scene, they found dangerous material.
He had an arsenal of weapons with him. He was laying in wait and opened fire with multiple...
Yeah, I've seen some uncensored pics of the aftermath. It's wild.
Rounds at both of the officers who were sitting in their vehicles.
Elyria police clarifying today what that arsenal was. They say in and around Parker's vehicle, they discovered, quote, multiple high-powered rifles, handguns, and a substantial quantity of loaded magazines. As they were combing,
he ambushed some cops.
Investigators noted suspicious baggage in the car that they believed could contain explosive devices. Bomb technicians later confirmed there was a, quote, significant quantity of improvised explosive materials within the vehicle. Then Wednesday evening, investigators obtained a search warrant for Parker's home on North Lakeview Boulevard. There they gathered evidence, but Elyria police tell us they did not find any explosive threats. Now today we also obtained records which show a connection between one of those officers shot and the suspect, Michael Parker. At 6 o'clock, we'll dig into those records and explain what they reveal.
All right, Annabelle Childers reporting live from Lorain. Thank you.
Now, as we told you at the top of the show, the 2 seriously injured officers remain in the hospital this afternoon.
One is dead.
Our Lindsey Buckingham is outside Metro with what we're learning about the officers who were ambushed. Lindsey, what more can you tell us at this hour?
She winked at me.
We still don't have an update on their conditions, but what we do know is that they have an army of support here at Metro. I'm going to step aside so you can see what I'm talking about. There are dozens of police cruisers here lined up in the back of Metro, mostly from Lorain, but as you can see, the support is here, and it doesn't just stay here. It stretches the community who have vowed to stand by their side.
The support has been endless. Departments from across the state showing love for Lorain police officers, Brent Payne, Philip Wagner, and Peter Gale. The Cleveland Division of Police, Akron PD, dozens of others
PB girl
standing with their brothers in blue. The statistics are sobering. According to the Ohio Fraternal Order of Police, 166 Ohio police officers have been shot in just the first 6 months of this year. This was Lorain's first major police shooting in 70 years. Tonight, the community has promised to be by their side.
Really nice guy.
Former Lorain Police Canine Officer Larry Giese says he didn't know Officer Payne well during his 28 years with the department, but he did speak to Payne's character.
Everything I've heard about him, really good officer, caring officer.
Everything I've heard about him says he's a piece of shit.
Comes with great sacrifice.
You know, maybe somebody will start paying attention what this police work's all about. It's bad. I mean,
Is it loggers? I thought it was delivery drivers and then like loggers.
Still, the message of support for these 3 officers is clear.
Delivery driver, one of the most dangerous jobs.
Families with love. Several local businesses.
Tip your delivery driver well.
And Rockin' on the River is donating proceeds from this weekend's concerts. And a GoFundMe has been started for Officer Wagner's family.
Yeah, but what about my Gibson Go?
Looking
The tattoo MS-13 on my knuckles.
Police cruisers here lined up outside of Metro in the back, actually, and you can still see people showing up. There are officers that are still trickling in to show support for their 2 officers that are here. There have been many, many fundraisers organized to help the officers and their families, and we're going to keep telling you about them as they come in. But Jay, we were talking at
I actually don't care about the cops. I'd rather hear more about the ambush.
All of them show up.
Tell me more about how the suspect ambushed him
Really just goes to show
in his
you
arsenal. That's what I want to hear about.
Absolutely. Lindsey Buckingham reporting
Don't
live.
give 2 shits about those cops.
Go back to you if we learn any more information, for sure. Meanwhile, we can tell you this. If you'd like to help the family of Officer Wagner, a GoFundMe page has been set up.
Flowers, flags, and...
Yeah, no, I wanted to hear more about the gory details of the ambush. That's what I came for. Assholes. The family has filed a lawsuit against the cops for a police chase that apparently killed a couple. This happened on the West Coast.
Police pursuit says their loved ones' deaths were preventable. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Wood River, claiming officers should have never chased the suspect through busy streets that day. Our Megan Kernan has been covering this since the beginning. She joins us in studio, and Megan reports that the family had some powerful words today.
It's in Missouri.
This lawsuit.
They did, Mike. Donna and George Julian's family says losing them this way is unbearable, and they want accountability. Today, they stood together describing how a routine day turned into an unimaginable tragedy.
My mom did everything with George. She didn't miss any appointments. She was by his side just about every waking moment.
66-year-old George and 68-year-old Donna Julian were on
He looks like a George.
doctor's appointment on July 3rd when a car fleeing Wood River police slammed into them near Illinois routes 3 and 143.
And upon impact, their car was violently pushed 40 yards or more into a ravine where they burned for several minutes with over 90%
Oh, God!
beyond recognition.
The family's wrongful death lawsuit claims Wood River police recklessly pursued the suspect, Miko Martin, for a minor traffic violation at speeds topping...
Yeah, they killed somebody over a minor traffic violation. Fucking cops. I condemn.
He condemn.
70 miles per hour through residential and commercial streets.
There has to be a balancing between the need to apprehend a fleeing offender and the danger to human life.
Donna's son, Mark Briggs, described the agony of losing his mother and stepfather in such a violent way.
Their lives were cut down in an instant, which I can only describe as a 4,000-pound bullet that was unleashed in the middle of our community.
The couple had been married 25 years and were deeply devoted to family.
And never got the chance to hold their great-grandchild who was born 5 days prior to this accident.
Briggs says they were the pillars of their family.
Our family will never be the same. We will carry their absent in every breath, in every family gathering, in every quiet moment when we should just hear their voices again. We never want this to happen to another family again. No one should ever have to endure this kind of heartbreak.
The family's attorneys say Wood River's
I hope they get paid.
not public, and they'll learn more through the lawsuit whether a policy exists and if it's enforced or not. We've been reaching out to the city of Wood River and their police department since last night, but have not heard back. Miko Martin faces multiple murder charges, and the family is demanding a jury trial and at least $50,000 in compensation.
We're going to go to Minneapolis where I believe, if I have this correct, the victim's family is upset with the charges brought against the suspect.
Story at 5, the family of an 11-year-old boy shot to death in a Minneapolis park, now outraged by the decision of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office to not charge the suspected shooter with murder.
That teenage suspect
was it a cop? Was it a cop? Who was the suspected shooter here?
is instead being charged with being a minor in possession of a gun. Our Paul Bloom staying on top of this story tonight. So Paul,
it was kid-on-kid violence.
The victim's family was also in the courtroom. What did Amir Atkins' loved ones have to say?
Simone, Kelsey, they're hurt. They're angry. They believe there is no justice here. Prosecutors have said they cannot charge the suspected 16-year-old gunman with murder because there is evidence that this was a case of self-defense. The juvenile court file detailing the deadly encounter in Falwell Park last month. It is alleged that park surveillance video captured 11-year-old Amir Atkins leaning out from the front passenger seat of a Kia, holding what appears to be a gun as that vehicle veered toward the shooter's location. The suspect is charged with weapons possession as a minor for diving into a separate vehicle, grabbing a gun, and then opening fire. Atkins was killed. His family today speaking out about that decision to not charge the shooter with murder.
You're justifying murder by switching a narrative to an 11-year-old boy, and then you're saying you can't tell what appears to be a weapon, and you're subjecting it as a weapon, but it's not a weapon. But you can tell another boy within feet of Amir, you can tell he's shooting a weapon. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's very, very frustrated as well, Paul. Can you walk us through what else happened in court today?
Yeah, of course. Amir's mom actually sat inside the small courtroom inside the Juvenile Justice Center for the teen's arraignment. Now, we are not identifying the young man, a high school junior to be, because of his age, but his attorney argued that the 16-year-old should go home to his parents. But even with the lesser charges and the potential self-defense claim, the judge found that the suspect is, in fact, a public safety threat and ordered him held at the Juvenile Detention Center in downtown Minneapolis. As the case moves forward, he'll be back in court next month. As for Amir's family,
no, they should let him go home.
Not done fighting for the enhanced charge of murder in this case. In the news for you tonight, Paul Bloom, Fox 9.
Yes.
But murder requires premeditation, and it sounds like the kid that got shot rolled up on him. I guess the argument the guy was making is they don't know for sure that the other kid was armed. But he had what appeared to be a gun. He was hanging out of a window. And the other dude ducked into a car and then shot back. It sounds like it's cut and dry self-defense. I don't... Caller on the Troll Patrol, what's going on? Yeah, I would love to debate you on abortion. No, go ahead and state your case.
Murder, it is unjust and illegal.
Okay, murder is a legal term that means the unlawful taking of a life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Taking of a life. It is a life, yeah.
So if abortion is legal, then it can't be murder.
Murder is like this two-worded, it's like this two-sided word, you know? It means like, you know...
No, it's a legal definition. It's a legal term. Like you can kill someone, and it be in self-defense, and that's a justifiable homicide. But you didn't commit murder.
Right.
Murder is a specific legal term.
Okay, I apologize for you.
Apologize for me?
If you have an abortion, that should be illegal. Because I believe it is unjustly killing another human being.
Why do you feel like it's unjustly killing another human being?
Because it's a human.
It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have memories. It can't feel pain.
Kill it. If you don't, yes, they can.
Okay, so here's my take on it, and you can't convince me otherwise. That's why I didn't let you guys hear it at first. Cause I was pretty sure that's who it was. So I was kind of screening it. Bro, my friend, why are you so bad at this? Why do you just want to call in and yell things that'll give me? Cause like I don't give a shit if you want to use the N-word. Honest to God, I'm on video using the N-word. I don't do it anymore, and you can totally ask me about that and why I don't do it anymore. But like, there's audio of me out there using the N-word because I'm an edgy comedian years ago. But like, what is your purpose other than like you want to try to get me taken off stream? You wanna use your slurs and then try to report me? Like, is that your game? Because why, brother? Why? Isn't it more fun? If you wanted to actually get one up on me, you call and debate me and make me look stupid on my own show. Now, that's not likely to happen. I've definitely not looked good, including on the show. And I don't take the videos down. To be perfectly fair, I didn't look that good against Destiny. I didn't look that good against Rob Noer. Videos are still up. But yeah, brother, if you wanna like actually like harm me, fucking make me seethe because I did bad in a debate, and that's the worst thing you could do to me. Calling in and dropping some slurs just makes you look like a dumb fuck. Oh God. Let's watch this car crash into church.
First, an arrest made in a wild crash in Fayetteville.
This is some of the damage to a church when a driver slammed into it Tuesday morning. Video was captured by security cameras at Berean Baptist Church off Glensford Drive in Fayetteville. The car ended up halfway into the church's entrance. Police say both the driver and the passenger jumped and ran. Since our noon newscast, we've
assuming alcohol or drugs were involved.
18-year-old Demir Denning is
a teen. Stolen car. Teen in a stolen car.
Fayetteville. This is some of the damage to the church.
Sick.
The driver slammed into it Tuesday morning. Video was captured by security cameras at Berean Baptist Church off.
There you can see him running. They're lucky to be alive.
Halfway into the church's entrance. Police say both the driver and the passenger.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Since our noon newscast, we've learned the car had been stolen. 18-year-old Demir Denning is
going to cost a lot of prayers to repair that.
A stolen motor vehicle, felony flee to elude, and driving without a license. Investigators are working to identify the passenger.
Tones, I tell you good evening, objectively. Byrotic! We're gonna watch South Park after this. PP Girl, Silent. Did I miss anybody? Tones. Julie. Avalon. I think I got everybody. Libertad. Let's go down to Florida. Earlier today, Governor Ron DeSantis gave a press conference to pay his respects to a great Floridian that passed away earlier today.
And before I get into the gist of today's information, just as a Floridian, as somebody that grew up in West Central Florida, I was sad to see the news that Hulk Hogan passed away today. He was a major icon for anybody in Gen X.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Dun, 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 dun. Don't get me wrong. The theme fucking slaps. He also came out to Voodoo Child. So both his entrance themes fucking slap.
I can tell you, growing up then in the 80s and particularly the early 90s, he was really big. And he actually really was a star first before even he was Hulkamania, but when he was Thunder Lips in Rocky III. And that was like a...
That does kind of predate Hulkamania.
That was a great movie franchise with Sylvester Stallone.
That was one of the
and then a couple years later,
jumping off points of his career.
World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. And, you know, as a young kid, like, you know, I'm growing up and it's like, you know, that was like somebody's like, wow, that's our superhero kind of deal. And the fact that he was from a Tampa Bay area when I'm growing up there, I was like, oh my gosh, like this guy lives in our area. And, you know, back then when they would do these big events like WrestleMania, you could go to it, which obviously I wasn't in a position to be able to go to, but they didn't have even pay-per-view where you would pay for it to come on the cable. They had closed.
So he's right about the closed circuit. Like the original first two WrestleManias were closed circuit. I think the first one on pay-per-view was 3. But like, Ron, you can still go to WWE. You can still go to WrestleMania.
Circuit. So you could go to like a venue and they would play it on like a really big screen.
Unlike
the first few WrestleManias, I think were like that. And I remember WrestleMania 3. He was up. Hey, stop.
Is that your fucking legacy?
Get out of here. 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 Get out of here.
Fuck you all.
So
fuck you all.
We used to have the WrestleMania 3. He was up. Hey, stop.
Is that your fucking legacy?
Get out of here. 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 Get out of here.
Fuck you all.
So you used to have the closed circuit. So you would go and you would have that. And
he's kicking authority in the balls.
Kind of watch it. So I just remember like WrestleMania 3, he's fighting Andre the Giant and like, really big screen. And so like the first few WrestleManias, I think were like that. And I remember WrestleMania 3. He was up. Hey, stop.
Is that your fucking legacy?
Get out of here. 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 Get out of here.
Fuck you all.
So you used to have the closed circuit. So you would go and you would have that, and then you'd just kind of watch it. So I just remember like WrestleMania 3, he's fighting Andre the Giant. And look, I was a kid. I didn't know that it was choreographed, right? I mean, I was like really worried that he was going to be able to do, but he slammed Andre the Giant. That was like a huge thing for like kids in that era. And so
on the one hand, I want to be like, all right, he's a real fan, but however, talking about Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant is like saying like, oh, I'm a fan of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. I'm a music fan. You know, it's kind of that deal. Like, that's like one of the biggest moments in the history of wrestling. A real fan would have said I was watching Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage.
You know, he and we were with him just a couple of months ago. My kids got to meet him and everything, so
I believe that.
See that, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and people throughout this region of Florida, because I know so many people cared about him.
He was kind of tearing up a little bit. Now, you may have heard of him as Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, that's his name, but I think this name is possibly more fitting.
Coming up, tributes pour in after the death of a legend, Hulk Hogan. We remember the wrestling legend life and his legacy with the ruthless
Hulk Hogan.
Coming up, tributes pour in after the death of a legend, Hulk Hogan. We remember the wrestling legend life and his legacy with the ruthless power.
Brother.
Coming up, tributes pour in.
Brother. Fucking, I hate Hulk Hogan. If anybody doesn't know this, I fucking hate him. Love wrestling. I'm torn on what to do because on Sunday or on Saturday for classic wrestling at 6:05 Eastern, we're gonna do something Hulk Hogan. Now I don't know if we're gonna do like the worst of Hulk Hogan. I feel like that's fitting because I hate Hulk Hogan. Not even a fan of him as a kid. As a kid, I loved Ric Flair. Grew up in the South. I was a Ric Flair fan. Hulk Hogan was like a foreigner coming into WCW. Loved Macho Man, hate Hulk Hogan. Didn't even like him as a kid, so. But as a wrestling fan who loves and reveres the sport of pro wrestling, I understand the place that Hulk Hogan has. He ushered in the modern era. Now, it could have been Dusty. If Billy Graham had been 10 years younger, it would have been Billy Graham. You could have put anybody else. In my mind, you could have put anybody. I feel you could have made it Macho Man, and it still would have worked. It could have been Macho Mania instead of Hulkamania, and it still would have worked. But things happened the way they happened. I beat up the Hogan Wrestle Buddy. Yes, I did. So I don't know what Saturday will look like, but we'll watch Hulk Hogan. Whether it's the best of Hulk Hogan or the worst of Hulk Hogan, I don't know. Because I don't exactly feel right as a wrestling fan not paying him the reverence he deserves in the pantheon. If I am doing a show where I'm trying to educate people on the history of wrestling, I feel like I would be doing a disservice if in this moment I didn't do the best of Hulk Hogan. Do you see why I'm conflicted here? If you're watching me, if you're a younger fan, Jesus, Rocky! Again! You're doing it on purpose this time. Love you, man. If you were watching me to try to learn about the history of wrestling, I would be doing you a disservice to not highlight the place that Hulk Hogan has. He probably is the greatest draw of all time. I'd like to say that it was Stone Cold, but it probably wasn't, because Hogan had like 3 huge runs in 3 different eras, and Stone Cold was like 3 years. My backyard wrestling era was back when I was 18, 19. That's why I don't have a front tooth, my lord, in my backyard wrestling era. I spit the tooth out on the trampoline, and my buddy was like, oh. I don't know what her take is going to be. This is current WWE superstar, Chelsea Green. And she is a super fan, so she's probably going to be really sad about Hogan. She was on with CBS News earlier today.
Let's bring in WWE professional wrestler Chelsea Green for more on all of this. Chelsea, thank you so much.
She didn't do it right. You don't call her Chelsea Green. It's Chelsea Green.
Much for being with us. I know this must come as a shock to you. Can you walk us through your initial thoughts when you heard the news this morning?
I mean, polarizing political views aside, he was an absolute icon. And if it weren't for Hulk Hogan, there are many of us in the wrestling industry that would absolutely not be here. He inspired a massive generation. So it's a loss that we are feeling deeply in the wrestling community.
I can only imagine. And Chelsea, you just announced Ultimate Edition figures to be released with Hulk Hogan at Comic-Con today. How did Hogan shape your career professionally, and what was your relationship with him?
Well, he showed up to Raw and SmackDown with an energy that truly was unmatched. And we actually just saw him at the Netflix premiere of Raw.
He got booed. That is one of the things I take great pleasure in. The very last time Hulk Hogan made an appearance on WWE television, he was booed out of the building.
In January, he was very alive, very well, very just full of spirit and energy. So, you know, that's the Hulk that I knew and I grew up with.
The booing killed him. The booing killed him. We haven't seen him since. The booing killed him off.
My husband is a ride or die Hulk Hogan fan, and so he's definitely feeling the loss today. I can only imagine that my coworkers are, taking it very hard as well.
I know he was very supportive of female wrestlers as well. Do you have a favorite?
And he wasn't, he was supposed to be a part of Saturday night's main event. For those of you who don't know, like WWE brought back Saturday night's main event. The second episode was supposed to be like very Hogan-centric. After he got booed at Raw, they canceled his appearance, and he wasn't there after that.
Memory of Hulk Hogan that sticks out in your mind?
I don't think I could possibly begin to tell you one memory because, I mean, think about all of the impact that he had on wrestling. And then on top of that, he was a Florida local, and I'm here in Florida as well. So we would often see him at his shop and at the beach and out and about. And he was just, he was one of a kind.
Yeah, so many of his close friends and colleagues will say that, when he entered the room, the temperature changed. It went up. It was all of a sudden this energy kind of came into wherever he was. How do you think other wrestlers are going to remember him as well?
I think exactly the same way that I'm saying. They're probably going to put it even better than I can possibly word it because, I think all of the 80s and 90s babies really grew up with Hulk as their idol in one way or another. And I can't imagine what his family is feeling right now, but it's amazing to see the community, and not just the wrestling community, but the community come together and honor an American icon.
I mean, he really was a pioneer when you think about it, because he not only was a star in the wrestling world and continued to be, but he was also able to transfer that to a television career and a film career. I mean, how extraordinary is that in your profession?
I think that's the very unique thing about Hulk, and we've seen it a couple times since then with The Rock and John Cena, but these men transcend wrestling. There are people well outside of this wrestling world that know who those three men are, and that's what makes it really special. Hulk Hogan walked so that we could all run in Hollywood.
And did he give you any pieces of advice? Did you ever go up to him and say, hey, Hulk, I really want to try this, or I've been wanting to dip my toe into that. What's your advice? Did he ever give you any kind of career advice or maybe life advice?
At the beginning of my career, I had a couple of run-ins with him, before I was in WWE, before I was anyone. And all I can say is that the positivity and the encouragement that he provided to me 10 years ago still sticks in my brain. And I'm going to carry that on throughout my career because he was just such a trailblazer and he wasn't afraid of anything. And I think that's the beauty of Hulk, is that he rubbed off on all of us in that way.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's anybody else like him in the world of wrestling?
God, I hope not.
It couldn't possibly be. We can all try to emulate him. We can all try to, have that Hulk Hogan tan.
No, I wouldn't want to.
And bring that star power. But at the end of the day, there's one and only one Hulkster.
Yeah, Hulkster. I love that. He had a sparkle when he entered the ring. Chelsea Green, thank you so much for being with.
I could have picked many different wrestlers to share their thoughts, but I picked the two that I thought would be the most thoughtful, and also two that my politics probably align with. Here is the hardcore legend, Mick Foley.
You just learned that Hulk Hogan passed away. I mean, when you heard the news, what was your first thought?
Well, it was almost shock because he was one of those guys who was larger than life. You just assumed, and he didn't appear to age, so you never thought that the last time you saw Hulk Hogan would be the final time you saw Hulk Hogan.
And you guys obviously had your quarrels over the years, but from you guys made up.
Yeah, it was a really nice moment. It was a show, but I believe he was 100% sincere because he not only apologized to me for something that was said at least 25 years earlier, but he insisted on apologizing to me a second time. And I accepted it, and I considered him a friend before that, but I definitely helped bond. That was a nice bonding moment for us.
I know everybody's going to ask you like memories about Hulk Hogan, and obviously he has the legacy. But is there, a moment that you guys shared outside of the apology and like the mending, but maybe professionally of you guys in the ring that that's what you think of when you think Hulk Hogan?
Well, the two things I think of is that I had a really nice talk with his daughter at one of these conventions, and got
Brooke?
her dad through her daughter, and also from reading his book, where I was like, we're actually quite a bit alike. And the second memory is not something I saw, but it's something that a friend of mine who worked with Hulk in WWE before I got there saw, and I told Terry or Hulk that this was the one thing that mattered to me. Like anything else is just commentary, but that Hulk Hogan, my friend said, those kids from Make-A-Wish and other wish organizations, they'd go in there and they'd just be beaming. And you can't feign the type of joy that Hulk brought to those kids. Like, that was real in his heart, which is why it seemed so effortless. But he was great at it. He made a lot of people happy.
Remember when I played Hulk Hogan talking about the Make-A-Wish kids stinking? Oh God, Hogan always lied. Nobody is bringing it up because they're wanting to be nice about him. But Hogan lied. He lied all the time. He just make the craziest shit up. Look up lies of Hulk Hogan on YouTube. Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Jarrell Baker here reporting.
Listen to Jim Cornette talk about all his lies.
As you can see, there are flowers and several other mementos that people have set up here. You can see my friend holding the American flag right here, all to honor the legacy of Hulk Hogan, who passed away this Thursday. Now, to many people,
wait, is that Jerry Sags?
Legend, and also defined their childhood. We tried to speak with the owners about this. However, they were distraught.
I think that's one of the Nasty Boys.
Say that it is heartbreaking to hear their hero is gone.
R.I.P. always plus
Drake, welcome in.
Ever true wrestling legend Hulk Hogan.
The Moloch family and dozens of others came here to Hulk Hogan's wrestling shop on iDrive to honor his legacy. You guys were on your way to Clearwater, but then you stopped by to come to this store to drop off that card. Why'd you decide to do that?
Out of respect for the family, and my son, bought him Hulk Hogan figurine, and he's had it in the back car since we've been traveling, so we just want to pay the respect to the family.
The 71-year-old Hulkster died at a hospital Thursday in Clearwater after suffering cardiac arrest.
After hearing Ric Flair cancer-free, and then a refresh, then I seen where somebody posted he died. That shook me for a second.
Antonio Reyes Jr. says that this store holds several special memories for him and his family.
Me and my wife got married, and immediately after we got married, we came straight here to buy a couple things before we went on our honeymoon.
More fans also showing up, saying that the wrestling star defined their childhood.
C5-0! Hulk Hogan was one of the first people that shaped my whole love for wrestling, and it's sad to see him go.
Just think Hulk Hogan's just iconic. I wanted to cry. That was my icon as growing up as a kid.
The owners of the store declined to comment and closed the store after learning about.
Man, I've cried over so many different people. Not even welled up a little over Hogan.
For the rest of my life right now.
Now, as we mentioned, the owner did refuse to comment. Obviously, distraught.
Teared up about wrestlers that I didn't care about.
No indication, or we don't know when the store will be back open again. Here in Orlando, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
Yeah, I hate him. I've always hated him. Bubba the Love Sponge came out maybe over a month ago. I'd forgotten all about it, actually. But there was a controversy because Bubba came out and said that Hulk Hogan was on his deathbed. He had had a surgery earlier in the year, and things apparently, there were complications. Other people had come out, like Jimmy Hart, great guy. Jimmy Hart had come out and said that it was exaggerated. And then there was reporting a couple of days ago that Hogan is, something's wrong with him, but it's not as bad as people might imagine. But there was a lot of speculation because he has two different ventures going on right now. The Hulk Hogan Real American Beer and then the Hulk Hogan Freestyle Amateur Wrestling thing, or Amateur Freestyle, whatever the fuck. He hasn't been promoting those two things. They've been posting videos, but they've all been like recycled content and old content. So people have been speculating that there was something going on with Hogan. Also, Hogan fucked Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, and Bubba apparently taped this without his consent. Hulk Hogan badmouthed his daughter's black boyfriend, called him the N-word, while fucking his best friend's wife. This is what led to the Gawker lawsuit. Somehow it got leaked. People have said that it could have been Bubba, that he tried to blackmail Hogan, or that he leaked it for the money, or that Bubba claims it was stolen off of him, yada, yada, yada. But it gets leaked to Gawker. Peter Thiel finances the Gawker lawsuit, which is centered around Hulk Hogan. That's when it came out in the trial that Hulk Hogan doesn't have a 10-inch dick. I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick. Terry Bollea doesn't. Like, the character Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch dick, but Terry Bollea doesn't. Apparently the man is hung like a Pringles can because you see it in the video. This is all like, I don't have enough time to sit here and tell you guys about all the crazy fucking shit Hulk Hogan has done. We gotta move on. We gotta talk about South Park. Amazingly enough, today, the FCC has approved the $8 billion Paramount Skydance merger. I could have sworn that Matt and Trey did everything they did last night to stop this from happening. Like, I'm telling you guys, this is not a normal episode of South Park. It's fucking wild. The FCC cleared the way for a merger between Paramount and Skydance. The $8 billion deal includes Paramount Pictures, the CBS broadcast network, and the Nickelodeon channel. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr said there would be significant changes at CBS and noted that Skydance has agreed not to establish any DEI initiatives. Americans no longer trust the legacy national news media to report fully, accurately, and fairly. This is according to Brendan Carr, chairman of the FCC. It is time for a change. That is why I welcome Skydance's commitment to make significant changes at the once storied CBS broadcast network. Carr said Skydance had made written commitments to ensure the company's programming would have a diversity of viewpoints across the political and ideological spectrum. It did. Comedy's legal again. Skydance also said it would hire a third-party, impartial outsider to report to the president of the new company to evaluate complaints of bias. Trump responded to South Park, or at least the White House did. I wonder if they showed it to Trump, because I feel like Trump would talk about it nonstop if they showed it to him. The White House is aware the episode exists. Trump White House rages over South Park episode. It calls the show fourth rate. Hold on, I'm going to scroll past this picture. Don't want any spoiler alerts if you guys are going to be watching it with me here in just a couple minutes. But here's the statement from the White House. The left's hypocrisy truly has no end. For years, they have come after South Park for what they labeled as offensive content, but suddenly they are praising the show. Have no idea. For years, we've come after it for offensive content. I'm like the biggest fucking Matt and Trey fan. Just like the creators of South Park, the left has no authentic or original content, which is why their popularity continues to hit record lows. Weird thing to say is Donald Trump's popularity hits a record low. This show hasn't been relevant for over 20 years and is hanging on by a thread with Hasn't been relevant in 20 years. Just signed a $1.5 billion deal yesterday. One of the most valuable shows in the history of television. Hasn't been relevant in 20 years, though. President Trump has delivered on more promises in just 6 months than any other president in our country's history, and no fourth-rate show can derail President Trump's hot streak. The episode came just hours after it was reported that Paramount had agreed to buy the global streaming rights for South Park in a 5-year deal worth $1.5 billion. I didn't really care for Cannibal the Musical. I'm sorry, Byronic. I've not ever watched it in its entirety, but I do own it. I think I actually had like the DVD release of it at one point in time. The LA County District Attorney's Office swore in their newest deputies. Only these deputies you guys are going to love. They're not going to be used to chase down suspects. They're going to be used to comfort victims of crime. These puppies will be used as comfort dogs for victim services. Being sworn in earlier today. This is work that I can absolutely endorse Doggos doing. I never want to see another puppy used in the military, used as a police dog. I think it's abuse.
Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. This is a slightly different press.
Well, these puppies are heroes.
Usually I announce arrests, convictions, sentences from this. I'm
going to go take a tinkle, refill my drink, and when we come back,
to recognize
Twitch people, we're going to be watching last night's episode of South Park.
And usually when I point out,
apparently got the White House raging.
Attorney's office, I point out our prosecutors, our support staff, our LOSAs, our paralegals, or even our investigators. But today we actually have 3 canine heroes of this office. Those heroes who are now about to go into retirement are Lennox, Nora, and I always want to make sure I get the last one. Skippy. One cannot forget Skippy. And the reason that these 3 dogs, who are part of our Bureau of Victim Services Canine Unit, are heroes is that for the past 8 years, these dogs have been working full-time, bringing support to victims, to witnesses, to lawyers, to people involved in the criminal justice system in a way I had no appreciation for. I mean, when I thought about canines working with law enforcement, we think about those bomb-sniffing dogs at airports or the ones that are at the border. But these particular facility dogs have been trained by the Assistance Dogs of the West, and we owe a great deal of gratitude to the Assistant Dogs of the West because they train these dogs to provide emotional support to children and vulnerable victims in the criminal justice process. These dogs actually respond to 90 different cues. And these
Shut the fuck up. Show the puppies.
Victims helped 1,600 and
you want to see the puppies
victims and witnesses ranging in ages from 6 to 78 years old. They have worked in all 14
Look how sweet they are.
Across Los Angeles County.
The droopy faces.
Been to more than
YouTube people, podcast people, Rumble, Kick, all you guys.
And if you've
Twitch people, stick with me. Everybody else, go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Sexual abuse.
We'll see you tomorrow. No, wait a minute. Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? I'll see you Sunday on the Troll Patrol live.
You might have seen Skip